Oh, I don't like that. There we go. That's better. Good evening. We've already got Ela Wazzle in the chat, waiting for Ed to baby bird me the information about points. Absolutely. That is why I'm here. I've just been shoveling a sandwich in my mouth, and I'm here to regurgitate right into your mouth. That doesn't really roll off the tongue.
No, I think that's your new motto, sure.
Regurgitating right into your tongue.
Here for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have got a lot of points to go through. I'll be honest, I have not had much time to look at these. So we're going to be making some truly hot takes as we go.
Fresh.
What I have done is I've had time to go through the entire PDF and highlight everywhere there's devastating wounds. It started out as any devastating wounds. And then I realized this is pointless. And it got to just be sort of meaningful devastating wounds. So combi weapon on a Space Marine captain doesn't count. But how are you feeling today, Davey? It's been a while since we've done a stream together. It's been a whole 2 days.
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. I am also shoveling food into my face, so you'll see me dipping in and out, literally up and down, as I hide the tentacles that climb out of my mouth every time I take a bite. Yeah, man, I am hyped. It's looking really interesting. Hey, like, this is what I love, is when it's all the theory crafting, it's all the ideas. I did a stream just now for Bug Watch, and some absolute disagreements with some of my lukewarm takes, which I'm here for, right? Because this is what we want to do. We want to find out what's going on, who's winning, who's losing, what's the new hot stuff. It's really interesting.
So Brad in chat says, excited to hear Davey's thoughts on Nids. Fantastic. Well, we are going to be getting to that later on. And when you've finished watching us, you are more than welcome to go back and watch his Bug Watch, where he does go into a little bit more detail, streamed just before this one.
Just skip the first 5 minutes where I forgot I didn't have my headset on, and there's no sound.
Sound does.
And then after that,
we promise.
It gets good. Yeah, it does come.
Yeah. All right. So. Let's just get to it, man. I have no idea. I have no context for how long this is going to take. Having done the indexes, you kind of got a feel for how long it was going to be. You could rush along the person you were with a little bit to try and fit more in. But this is different. This is different. So we have got Adepta Sororitas, Sisters of Battle, and we're starting off with an absolute winner. How much have you been looking at the data sheets that have come out, Davey? I think you've only looked at the Tyranid ones, right?
Yeah, too right. Consider me. I'm a one army man, and I've not really had a lot of time. But consider me. Use me as like the explainer. I'm going to explain this to you, Dave. I'm gonna tell you what's happening.
You're the sounding board.
This is awesome. I'm the sounding board. And then I do the faces, right? So I go like, oh,
excellent.
No way, Ed.
Excellent.
Like
Obviously, we're on a foray into Warhammer YouTuberism. We're not quite at the Hellstorm Wargaming level yet.
Can we have a round of applause for Ed's thumbnail?
My thumbnail.
I mean, that's outrageous. It's so good.
Absolutely. Kobe says, Sisters look super good. Really excited to play them. That's great. I have only really skimmed through them. So that is good to hear, because I know some people have been a little lukewarm on them with a lot of Strength 9. The thing that I did like was the Immolator, putting some Retributors in an Immolator, driving forwards, shooting. You I always get this wrong. The Retributors get to reroll all their wounds. And at 130 points, that's not bad for 4 multi-melters. That's not too shabby.
That's not bad at all for 4 multi-melters, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, they're not on Space Marine
Strength 9 now?
They are Strength 9, AP 4, 3 or 4, I think it might be 3, D6 damage, melter 2. So, not bad. They are down to 18-inch range, which does hurt a little bit. But
it's all right when you're Sisters, though, because that's where you want to be, right? That's the place. That's where Sisters live, right?
it's where they. It's a funny one actually. Just to on the design space of sisters. Sisters need to be within 24 inches of you. I don't think sisters want to be within 24 inches
Right.
of you because they
Interesting.
will fall over. But yeah, so we've got some highlights here. Astrid Thurger. She gives the squad she's in devastating wounds. She's 70 points. She can go in sacristans. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think you just do that. That feels like a great choice. If you
Can you put with Repentia, no?
No, I don't think so. Purely because she can't join them.
Okay. that makes sense. That makes absolute sense.
It's a great shout. If you could, it would be a great vehicle to put them in.
Because sacristans historically have strong attacks, but not a lot of attacks, right?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when we get the codex whether they get a Bloody Rose type detachment where they get +1 attack in the way that they have. Ela Wuzzle says, word on the street is this PDF is bonkers across the board for all the wrong reasons. Yeah.
You only hear the bad news, man. You never hear the good news.
So let's just be honest. We're living in clown world. And by clown, I don't mean harlequins. I mean all elves and all space marines. Evening, Simon. Good to see you. I'm coming into this with optimism. I'm kind of going to evaluate these as much as I can as if devastating wounds wasn't going to turn the game into an absolute shit show. Was talking to someone, a very good player, who played into another very good player. We're talking like international level. So they were playing the game right. They had a Space Marines versus Chaos Knights test game. Marines went first. They tabled the Chaos Knights in 2 turns. Yeah, there's going to be some changes needed, hopefully. And this is coming from someone who's going to be playing Eldar and is absolutely going to be buying a Wraith Knight. Hopefully, the game gets smoothed out pretty quickly. But so we're gonna look at things as if we're not in. Yeah, Ela Wuzzle is absolutely grim. But Games Workshop being pretty good at fixing things. They've already fixed the dev wound like massive issue on the Death Guard, where they could just pump out something stupid like 50 to 60 mortal wounds in a turn. I think it's going to be rough for a month or two. I think in your casual pickup games, you just don't take these things. In my practice games, I absolutely will be taking them. So sorry, David, we're playing on Monday. You're playing against possibly 2 Wraith Knights. We'll get to those later on.
It's all good. That just means we can have 2 practice games, right?
That's a great way of looking at it. That's fantastic.
Yeah, man. I'm here for it.
What a fantastic practice partner. Evening Existence, good to have you. Brett says, I saw Wraith Knights are out of stock on Games Workshop site. Yeah. Just very quickly, obviously it's a problem how good Wraith Knights are. For anyone who hasn't seen, Davey, I don't know if you've picked this up. Basically, obviously, Fate Dice and Devastating Wounds interact in a way that make them so much more valuable than any other use of a 6. So you're going to save it for your 6s to wound, but you can also use it on your 6s to hit for Overwatch. So a Wraith Knight with 2 D cannons can realistically just kill anything you point at it. Then it comes to your opponent's turn and kill anything you point at it that moves within 24 inches. It also has the towering keyword. If your terrain has windows, you're fucked, son. Like true line of sight. It's going to pick you up. It's going to be really unpleasant. But, like I say, I'm assuming that we will not live in Clown World for too long. And despite that, I'm still going to get a Wraith Knight because, I mean, it's a beautiful model. I very much want to model it as a sniper, but I think if I model it kneeling, that might be modeling for advantage. All right, we're going to whiz through some of these points. We're not going to go line by line. Just going to pick out some stuff that looks good. Anyone who has played and studied the points in the PDF more than me on specific things, feel free to shout up in the chat, and we will go back and talk at them. I've got the PDFs up as well if we need to cross-reference. So yeah, just back to Thurger, 70 points. You're going to put her in a brick of sacristans, 200 points there. Just a great combo. They're going to be popping out mortal wounds. I really like the price point for sacristans. They're -1 to wound. They've got a 4-up invuln, assuming you've got a character in there for the -1 to wound. They feel good. We did have someone say in the chat, Kobe Walters, the tanks look amazing. The Exorcist is amazing for the points. Let's have a look here. Exorcist is 140 points. That's not too shabby. You do have to call your shot with which missiles you buy, I believe. But honestly, I think that's fine. I think it's very good. Yes,
They're just
existence.
Rhino chassis as well. Still, there's nothing different.
What, as in like the toughness? It might even be a little bit tougher, but it's a non-line of sight vehicle, so it sits behind terrain, fires off its missiles. Both sets of them are pretty good. You're probably going to want the I don't know, actually. Both seem pretty solid. Existence says, I suspect Games Workshop will say change the substitution to be modified rather than unmodified to stop the sixes triggering stuff. Yeah, that would definitely work. I would prefer them just to nerf Devastating Wounds if they just changed it to do an additional mortal wound and then made sure anywhere that you can spam out high volume of Devastating Wounds, you kind of rein that in. So any 1 damage Devastating Wounds obviously get better with that change, so you'd have to nerf it there. Brad, we've obviously got a Sisters player in chat. You think Junith is very good, Sisters strats are super good, so an extra 50% CP is nice. Yeah, she's an infantry model now as well, so she can go in a transport, which is pretty wild, I think. Existence says doesn't stop the Overwatch stuff, but it stops the dev wounds. It kind of stops the Overwatch stuff because the Overwatch is significantly less exciting when you're not doing 2d6 mortal wounds on each 6 to wound. At that point, you're just like really killing a Terminator if it fails its invuln. So I think the problem goes away if the dev wounds go away. Something I do want to talk about. Look at these.
Were
These
Penitent
characters.
engines, are they any good nowadays?
So I'm super disappointed by this because they've gone, a lot of their stuff's gone max size, like basically what you get in the box. So 1 to 2 in the squad. That's really disappointing. I would love to run these in bricks of 5. 60 points, that's not bad. They used to be cheaper. I think they used to be 50 points-ish or maybe 55. I don't know if they got better enough to deal with that. Repentia, still looking solid. I don't think they're amazing outside of Bloody Rose, so without that extra attack that they don't get anymore. But I think you probably want some melee punch. I don't hate them there. Rhinos at 80 points. That feels a little expensive compared to some of the transports that we're going to come to. But I guess I don't hate it. It's still fine.
If anyone needs it, those Sisters, right? Especially in a out of line of sight shooting.
Yeah, exactly. And now you can't. You have to take 10 models in your Battle Sister squads, so you can't even put 2 5-man Sister squads in a Rhino unless you're going for the interesting stuff.
Sorry, because out of line of sight shooting it's never blast, right?
Oh, mate, it's such a problem. Like the 2 problems in this game right now are non-line of sight and dev wounds, and some things have both. Existence says the power level style points thing is so clunky. I agree. I don't love it. I think list building wise, it'll make it more boring for me. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a long-term problem, but what I really don't enjoy is that they price something for the best weapon, and they either get it wrong. So you have like Tyrannid Warriors in 9th, where they were 25 points even with the good stuff, or they price it right, and then you've got people who really want to just play like, oh, I've got double Spine Fist Warriors, yay! Just paying 35 points for a warrior, for example. So I don't love that. I'd like a bit more granularity, but it is what it is. Val, 135 points for Val. She's not the absolute whirl ender she was, but I think I like her at 135. Celestine at 150.
What's the synapse in? Sorry, what's the summary of how she's changed? Might ask.
You absolutely can't, because now I've got to go refresh.
Oh no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about
No,
it. Is she as
fine.
good as she used to? Is she good as she used to be? Or?
So she's squishy as vehicles go. She no longer halves the wounds that she takes. She's T6, 8 wounds, 2 up save, 4 up invuln. So she's not bad. Her unit rerolls hits and wounds. She can only join the Paragon Warsuits. So there is that.
And she's 135 points.
Yeah. I think she's interesting. It depends whether Paragon Warsuits are worth taking. 240 points for 3. You didn't see them ran at 240 points for 3 in 9th edition. I don't know. I'm not.
And now the melters
sold.
have just got shorter ranged.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe you just take the heavy bolters. Chris says no longer double fights. Yeah, she has taken definitely a beating in terms of her abilities, but maybe we see her at that. Celestine at 150 points, I think, is fantastic. She's a little bit worse than she was. Not got quite the same output, but this is all 3 models. She goes in a squad of Zephyrim. You just go and fly around and beat stuff up. Pretty good there. What I did want to do is I want to have a quick look at the enhancements. So you've got 10 points for the Saintly Example. That's the additional D3 Miracle dice when you die. That's very hallowed. Order of our Martyred Lady. Litanies of Faith. That is reroll Miracle Dice, 25 points. Yeah, you're probably taking that. Mantle of Ophelia, change to 1 for the damage. That's probably the most losable one. And then Saintly Example. No, Blade of Saint Eleanor, 15 points. Yeah, I feel like all of those enhancements are kind of pointed correctly. That feels pretty good. If people are taking, Chris says, if people are taking anti-tank, these suits are going to melt. You know it, Chris. You absolutely know it. They're going to get destroyed. The trick is you just got to take enough stuff to not care. Which kind of then makes me go, maybe you don't put her in the Paragon War suits because it really paints a target on the back.
Right. I mean, that's Sister's thing, right? It's you've got so many tools in your toolbox.
I hope so. I'm really keen to see how they play because they feel the most elfy of all of the Imperium factions to me. So
it's a really good way to describe them, actually. Yeah, 70 points per unit.
Much more limited in how they play, but yeah, Triumph of St. Catherine, 150 points. I think you're going to see this in every list as long as you can keep it safe. Yeah, she just lets you do so much more with Miracle Dice. TLDR, she make Miracle Dice real good. All the staples, Repentia at 75 points for 5. That's pretty decent. Although I think you have to take the Sister Superior, so maybe you want to take a bigger squad now for the output. Novitiate's at 90 points. Absolutely fucking not. Like, get me out. There's no way I'm paying 90 points for what is ostensibly just bad.
Yeah, maybe like they've got a 4-up save, is it?
They were good in Bloody Rose because you just got attacked from the attacks and AP from the detachment rule, and now they're just bad.
Yeah,
Battle Sisters are 110. That kind of hurts. But you're still going to take them because you kind of got to. I like how the characters are coming in at quite cheap. Sisters characters always have, so it's not really an indicator, but we'll see as we go on. Characters are cheap this edition, like real fucking cheap. So yeah, Sisters, I'm liking it. Peloton engines and the Mortifiers feel a bit much. I don't love those. Like the walkers in this book feel a bit much. Everything else in here, I'm not hating. We'll have to see how that goes on. Oh, hold on. What's the cheapest chaff? That's what we need to know.
Death Cult Assassins.
2 Death Cult. Yeah, there we go. Crusaders. When we were streaming these, it was like the second to last thing I'd done. I hadn't looked at them and I was fucking delirious at this point. And I got to the end of the PDF and this was the last page. No, maybe it wasn't the last page. Let me just double check that it is this and I'm not full of shit. Page.
Do they have any funky rules or?
Well, no.
No, they just come in and
Arcoflagellants. That's what it was. How cheap are the Arcoflagellants? 45 points. Okay, I was wrong. So basically, I just was like, oh shit, you take 3 units of these and you farm Miracle Dice because you get them when they die. Yeah, thanks existence. No, it looks like Crusaders are the squad that you farm Miracle Dice with because you get Miracle Dice when a unit dies, and I don't believe it's phase capped anymore. So you just chuck 3 of those out and get some points early on, put them on objectives. Basically, Crute Hounds, but you're happy when they die. All right, moving on. Custodes. Oh boy. Oh boy. Like, so the front runner of Marines and Eldar does have this. Like, if you're doing tier lists and those two are S tier, this is probably the only one that I've seen so far that I think would go into A. Everything else goes into B. I don't think it really hangs, but oh boy. So a lot of the sisters do mortal wounds to psychers. Cool. That's whatever. The Vendread at 185 points, I really don't like it. That is super expensive. The Blade Champion, he does some mortal wounds. He's quite nice. He gives advance and charge to a unit, so you probably look at wanting one of those. But let's just look at what makes them good. And weirdly, it's not Dev Wounds, unlike a lot of the other factions. Custodian Guard, 40 points a model. They do get more expensive if you spam them. So if you go to 9, basically 4-man squad is 40 points a model and 10-man squad is 45 points a model. I'll be honest, I kind of missed that the first time round. It's interesting that they're punishing you for taking a big brick because those are miserable to play against.
Maybe that's why it's punishing you.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's an interesting design space. I quite like it. Is it the same here? So you're looking at 75 points a model. 150. No, that's not. It's 65. So 132, 63, 90. Okay.
Yeah, 45 points a model. Yeah.
Honestly, I was just testing to see if you were awake. No, thank you, Ela Wazzle. Apparently, I can't do maths. Yes, 45 points a model. If Rory sees this, I'm sorry, Rory. I got you really excited when you were at work, and I told you there were 40 points a model. I'm a bad man. I'm a bad man.
So what's the average Marine? Is it 20 points for the Marines at the moment?
I'll be honest, I haven't even looked in depth. I looked at like some highlights from them, and then I was just like, whoop, straight past.
I'm just wondering what points value the 4 at Field No Pain is.
Oh, what for the? It's only for mortal wounds, but
Oh, is it only for more? Oh, sorry,
yeah. No, hey man, it's basically the same thing with the amount of dev wounds we're going to be seeing. But yeah, these Custodian Guard are fantastic at 45 points. Even better when I thought they were 40, but they're pretty solid. Wardens at 50, you love it. Alaris at 65, they're a little steep, but because you can take them in 2-man squads, I think that's fine. They're the ones who can do the teleport shenanigans. Trajan at 145 points. I am a huge fan of this. He is an absolute beat stick. He gives his squad fight first, which is the second best keyword in the game.
Yeah.
As soon as Dev Wounds get squatted, it'll become the best one. Don't worry about that. He is an absolute monster. He can either hit 12 times or get a 2-up invuln or some other bullshit. He's fantastic. And at 145 points, I don't see any reason not to take him in every list, which is nice because it's just, he feels good to play. I finally got over my reluctance to play him in 9th edition. I was like, damn, this guy's good. What else we got? The Shield Captains coming in at 120 is pretty decent. The Dawn Eagle jet bikes, 145 and 90 points per model. Virtus Predators are dead. Like, you just don't see them competitively. They got worse and more expensive.
But will you not need the med to do things like
not at that point.
But get them across the board and stuff. So if you pull one of these silly Tempest of War cards,
not at these points.
Really?
Like,
what else you got that's fast, right?
So our Custodians can telecrawl across the board. So that's probably it. And you've got some scout models here in the Witch Seekers, I believe.
Perfect.
When we see the Forge World Index, I haven't heard anything about the Forge World Index, so we'll see how this goes. But I'm thinking that the Floaty Boys, Venatari, they're probably what you want to put in, because there's no way that they make them anywhere near as expensive or bad as a Praetor. Like, their gun got worse, they got less tanky. They're just bad. They're really sad. And they're more expensive, which is just inexcusable. Looking at the enhancements here, just to quickly go back. Let's see. Ceaseless Hunter, that is your once per game move, 6 inches, really good. 30 points, maybe a bit steep. You probably still take it anyway. I feel like the enhancements for Custodes are going to be filling the gap because you're going to end up with some weird points totals with putting stuff in, especially if you don't want to play Psychers. Exemplar at 10 points. This is fantastic. You wouldn't want to take this if it was much more. I think this is the one that lets you unbattle shock a unit and gives that unit better leadership. Veiled Blade, 25 points. It's really good. More attacks in OC. Unstoppable Destroyer. Mortal Wounds on the charge. I don't love that. This is probably the one you drop. So, yeah. Okay, so Custodes. We've gone from a really, really good index there to AdMech.
They're not good.
There's no sugarcoating it. I think so. And this is one of those where I don't have the gameplay knowledge of AdMech to confidently look you in the eye and say, nah, they're dog shit. But nah, they're dog shit. like, it's not. Yeah. They do have some saving graces. Their planes are really cheap for planes. Planes feel really overcosted this edition, which is good. I don't want to see planes on the board. I definitely don't want to have to play them. They're a real pain to transport around, but if they're good, you do it. What have we got? Let's have a look here. So Ballistari are cheap, which is nice, but the sort of standout units for me were the Breaches and the Castellan robots. And they're 50 points a model for the Breaches and like 107.5 points for the robots. That's not good.
Wow.
Yeah. Like,
that's outrageous.
Yeah. They don't have the output to make, like, they're decent. They're mini dreadnoughts on the, in a squad of 2, which is nice. They're like I think there's something like T78, 7 wounds, 2 up armor save. You can give them various buffs. You can boost their output in melee and shooting. They're a bit more flexible than they have been. They don't have to stand still to get a shooting boost, but they just don't put out that much damage that you care. At 215 points for 2, I'm not seeing it. 180 points for 2, I think you're feeling pretty okay. You've got to remember as well, you really want to put the character in there, who is, what is that character called? Cybernetic Datasmith. Yes, you're looking at 250 if you want to take 2 of these, and then you take the Datasmith so he can put them in a stance. Like, they don't get the stances if he's not there, so that's not good. Skirmishing units are still quite cheap. Raiders look quite nice. They can do quite a few mortal wounds by AdMech standards. The characters look pretty cheap for buffing. That's not bad. Like, maybe there's something here, but the faction's gone down to ballistic skill 4. I'm just not seeing anything that I'm jazzed about. I'll be honest. There's yeah.
Someone's gonna have to do some digging, aren't they?
Yeah, like 195 points for their mainline battle tank, the Disintegrator. I mean, I know it's not the mainline battle tank; it's the Dune Crawler. 140 points for the Dune Crawler is not bad, but I don't know.
It only has a one shot. It only has one gun, right? The
Disintegrator or the Dune Crawler.
The Dune Crawler.
The Dune Crawler, it has like some weird mixed firepower because some of the guns that you can put on are actually multiple guns, and it's quite tanky. It's got a 4-up invuln now, and it can move over terrain because it's got spider legs. But it's still, I'm not sure about this. Like, you almost take them because they're tanky rather than because they're output, which is not necessarily a great place.
Not ideal.
Yeah. All right, moving on quickly. Oh, hey, we've hit Eldari.
Okay, deep breaths, everyone. Deep breaths.
Oh, hey, mate, I'm playing them, so I'm going to go through line by line.
I'm just going to leave it to it, and I'm going to eat these chips.
This is the one that I'll be thrown over to you. So Azaman, I am not loving the Phoenix Lords in this book. They don't feel like they bring 120 worth of points of value in my eyes. I might be wrong here, but he gives free Overwatch to Dire Avengers and +1 to hit. That's nice, but you're taking a brick of 10 of them. Dire Avengers down here, 140 points. 260 points for him, for that squad there. That's a big commitment. Existence says Night Spear is great. Yes, he absolutely is. That is very true. And Brett says, three Wraith Knights, 3 Night Spinners, 3 D Cannons win on turn 1. Yeah, that's a thing. They're very, very good. But like I say, I'm going to try and talk as if we're not living in Clown World and these things are going to get nerfed. So I'm going to ignore your world's smallest violin because we're not living in Clown World here. So Autarchs, when I looked at the Autarch datasheet, I was pretty underwhelmed. They've got really good abilities, but they can only join Guardians or Storm Guardians, which are bad units. I don't love it. At this price point, I think you take one. You basically take one to farm a CP every command phase. I'm going to be paying 80 points. I'm going to take the Way Leaper. I'm going to have Lone Operative. I'm going to sit on my objective. I'm not going to... Oh, right. So Jack says, I guess it's okay to be sad about the Phoenix Lords, but why even look at them with the rest of the book in that state? Because I'm assuming that things are going to go back to normal. The game's in such an unbalanced state. There's no point me just coming here and going, everything's broken. Good night. Talk about 4 units. So I'm assuming that the things that are too good are going to get balanced out. So I'm going to talk about the other stuff that's in the book because hopefully in a month or 2 we'll actually be running them. Where was I up to? Yeah, so I think I'm going to take an Autarch Way Leaper because he farms your CP every turn. He's got Lone Operative, so he isn't going to get indirected to death. He can hold your objective. He can't get battle shocked off. Yeah, I think at 80 points, I don't hate that at all. Avatar Arcane, what a beast. 295 points for this guy. I'm super happy to put him in a list. Yeah, he's got the half damage, the 4-up invuln. He's got just everything that you could want. He slaps in combat. He's got sustained hits on his spear for no reason at all. So when you fake dice a 6 on the Overwatch, you just go, oh, you're sad. That's great. Barahoth, again, you need to run him with Swooping Hawks. 200 points for a squad, maybe. The reason you were running Swooping Hawks is because they were a cheap chaff unit that could kind of just deal with things. They don't kill anything meaningful. So I don't know. That feels like too much investment, which is a shame because I really love the idea of doing the shenanigans that everyone was doing to me last edition. Void Reavers and Void Scarred. They're kind of right. I don't think you take them just because they don't give you anything that the like. You're going to want to take some troops. You're going to want to take the defenders, I think, because they will give you more fate dice, or you'll take the aggressive ones because they'll give you sticky objectives. I don't think these models bring anything meaningful outside of that, but just like the stuff they've got in the datasheet is quite nice. So it's it's not bad.
9
Crimson
points is a
Hunter.
lot though for chaff, right?
Yeah, so it's more this one here, the 7 points a model. And the fact that
Oh.
you can take them at 70 points for 5 instead of having to take 10 guardians is quite nice. Like that's not nothing. I don't think we're going to see them, but you know, it's nice to have that option there. Crimson Hunter, it's a plane that shoots stuff. 160 points, that might even be approaching a points total where you think about taking it, to be honest. Let me just pull it up. I think it's got, is it 2 Bright Lancers or something? I'll be honest, I skipped right past it because I just thought planes are going to be dog shit in this edition. Let me go into it. It has got, that is right, 2 Bright Lancers and a Pulse Laser. That's not an insignificant amount of firepower. I don't think you need to bring it. I think Fire Prisms, if you want anti-tank, the Wraith Knight will absolutely cover that if you need it. So, yeah, I don't know. 160 points, you might think about it, but not for me. Dark Reapers, these guys are bad, but it's 75 points for 5? Maybe. You can get an indirect gun on there. I don't know that we need that, but if we see other indirect nerfed into the floor, this might become valuable. It's
I bought a squad of these.
they're cool models. I don't like the helmets. I really don't like
No.
the massive bunny ears out to the side. It's not bunny ears.
Super weird, right?
Yeah, but yeah. Death Jester. So there's a bit of a typo here. It says 70 points, but it's actually 80 points because 85 points because you always run in with the enhancement that lets you flip a single dice to a 6. Did you ever play against Jeff the Dester?
Oh yeah, mate.
In 9th edition? Yeah, he does the same thing. He's not a sniper at the same time, but I think that's good enough that you just like, yeah, cool. He's a lone operative. You put him on top of a building, and then you shit some shots out. Dire Avengers. All right, they're fine.
You had a big expectations for these, right? When we spoke about it last time.
Yeah. But then I kind of worked out how much non line of sight there was. So having the whole strategy with them is to take 10 and take Azaman, and you stand them in front of a wall, and then you overwatch, hitting on 4s because you're touching terrain, touching an objective. Then you spend a CP, and you fire and fade back behind the wall. That doesn't work when you're playing against Desolation Marines or other Eldar. So that's realistically, if you're running these guys, I think you run them with Azaman. 260 points for 10 models that immediately die because your opponent can also shoot out line of sight. Yeah, it's probably not it, which is a shame because they're lovely models. Maybe you take them in 5s and use them for like positional play. They've got a little bit of firepower. You've still got the double cat on the X Arch, which is cool. I don't hate them at 14 points a model for just cheap jank. Eldrad. I did not think this guy was going to be worth running. I thought there was going to be too much stuff to fit in your list. Turns out he's 100 points. So it's super hard just not to put him in every list, which is so disappointing. If your opponent's running some sort of Death Star, you just kill it because he gives you +1 to wound, and you start the game with more fate dice, 15 instead of 12, which means you can aggressively roll down to get that 4th, 6th on your fate dice. And yeah, I think he's very good. Falcon at 140, it's fine. The only thing I can see myself running it with is if I wanted to put, I guess, striking scorpions in, because if it shoots a unit and then the unit inside attacks, they get to reroll their wounds. Striking scorpions have dev wounds against non-vehicles and monsters. It's got enough space to put striking scorpions and Grandress in. It's not bad. That'd be good in other armies, but like, I don't know, 120. I can do better. I feel like. Speaking of doing better, Farseer 65 points. Great. Take one in every list probably. Assuming you've got something that you want to keep alive in the open, He hands out -1 to wound to a big thing, and jobs are good. Then you've got the second version, which is the Farseer and the Bike, which gives reroll hits on a big squad. He's just great. I think you take this guy, you give him the Weeping Stones, which is an upgrade where every time his squad kills a unit, you get a fate dice. It's not capped to once per phase. You put him in 9 Shuriken Catapult Wind Riders, which are now super cheap. 240 points for 9. Spoilers. And yeah, you just farm fate dice with him, which is pretty good. Fire Dragons, 85 points. I don't hate him. You can put him in a Falcon. It's not bad. It's not bad. Fire Prism at 125. Overpriced. Have you seen what the Fire Prism does?
Oh yeah, this is the is that the one with the massive cannon that you just spend your fate dice on to hit? And
you don't even need to spend your fate dice on it because you're going to use them elsewhere, which we'll get to. So your army rule, your detachment rule, sorry, is you get to reroll a single hit and wound.
Oh, that's it, yeah.
And Fire Prisms reroll a single hit and wound as well. So their main gun is a 2-shot gun. So you're going to reroll all hits and all wounds on it. Yeah. And then you can fire through other Fire Prisms, and then you can fire and fade them. So it's non-line of sight with just more seps. It's a really good tank. I'm very annoyed at how cheap it is. I don't want to run them, but at 125
man,
points,
transporting that massive cannon around is asking for trouble. That's snapping off for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, it's something. I was going to say something I'm used to. Let's not go to the penis jokes this early.
Jesus, Ed, that came out of left field. Let's go.
Fugan, he's super expensive. Like, if he was cheap, if he was really cheap, I could see you using him as just like a one-shot dude to try and kill some stuff on his own, just like a lone operative, but without lone operative. He's not cheap, so I think he's just too expensive. Guardian Defenders, 110 points. Sucks that you have to take the 11th model, which is the support weapon. So I guess you just take a Bright Lance, and then it's a good place to put your reroll hit and wound, but I'm not excited about it. You take them because they farm you fate dice. So I'd love to be able to take 5 of them instead of 11, but yeah, it's what it is. Hemlock Wraithfighter, also really cheap, but
that's the anti-aircraft one, right? The anti-aircraft.
It's the Wraith one, basically. So it's fires D cannons.
Oh,
or D scythes, maybe. It's something along those lines. It has worse ballistic skill. You don't take it.
Okay.
I don't think you take the Crimson Hunter, so you're definitely not taking this one. Howling Banshees, they have lost a lot. Are they worth running at 17 points? No, I don't think so. Very, very sad. Night Spear, 65 points. What a beast. This is like the Sergeant Telion of Eldar. Joins some ranges, gives them rerolls to wound. They don't have dev wounds, so they're not quite as strong, but he does. It's just solid. He gives the squad lone operative, so you just set them up on a bit of terrain, and you leave them there for the game, and you say, well, you can move towards 12 inches, but that's where I'd like you to be as an Eldar player. I'd like you to commit so I can kill you. So, yeah.
65 points is a real points cost.
Yeah.
That is a thing, that, isn't it? For an Eldar character.
When you compare it to the Phoenix Lords, who just feel super expensive. Yeah. James, you're not running Banshees. Don't think you're running her. She's not worthwhile. Karandris, though, he's maybe one that you look at running. He has dev wounds. He has exploding hits on a 4 when he charges. Nice. He can do his dev wounds against vehicles and monsters. It feels like you're going to want some form of melee in your list just to deal with things that you can't root out with shooting, even though you have quite a lot of non-line of sight. There is a limit to how many units you can shoot in a turn. I feel like he's pretty good. It's pretty solid. Him and 5 Scorpions. I don't think you go for the full 10 because that becomes prohibitively expensive. But yeah, I quite like Karandris. Cool model as well, even though it's an older one, I believe. Morgan Ra, 130 points. Why is this the most expensive Phoenix Lord? Like, I could take Morgan Ra, or I could take a Death Jester. And the Death Jester won't get shot back. I think I know which one I'm doing. One's half the points. Yeah, that's not it. Night Spinner, 140 points. I think you look at running probably 2 of them. it's hard to hide 3 of these chassis, and you want to hide other chassis as well. So yeah, but 2 of them super valuable. Prince Urail at 100 points, he's fine. He only joins Corsairs and Guardians, so maybe there's some interaction there, but they're not data sheets that I've looked at in depth. Honestly, it hasn't felt worthwhile. Rangers at 55 points, great little chaff unit. You had them in 9th, you're gonna have them now. Shadowseer at 60 points. That's interesting. She gives advance and charge to the Harlequin squad that she's joined, the troop squad she's joined, because they've lost it. I don't know.
She doesn't want to get in combat, right?
Well, she has to because she gives out advance and charge. She doesn't.
That's what I mean, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
like
weird combo.
It's a 60-point upgrade to your troops to give them advance and charge is how I would look at it.
Okay.
I don't love it. I think you just suck it up. You accept that you can't get that extra D6 inches on the move, and you just have to move a little bit closer. It doesn't hit the spot for me. Shining Spears at 120 points for 3, 40 points per. That's pretty expensive. They're also worse than they were. They used to be, I think, strength 6 with the Lance rule or +1 to wound on the charge. Now they're strength 4. That feels not it. Yeah. Which is a shame. They're really cool models. They are fast.
Everything Eldar's fast, to be fair. Like,
yeah, but there's 2 other squads of bikes that are really good. So instead you just take Shroud Runners, which used to be, they got buffed to 30 points a model, which was cheaper than the
110 before.
So it used to be 90 points for 3. But before that, I think, yeah, maybe 110, something along those lines, 105 maybe. But you used to take the Wind Riders. If you took Wind Riders with Shuriken catapults, they were 35 points a model. So instead you took the Shroud Runners, which got the benefit of cover. They had snipers on top. They had an extra wound. They're just better in every way. And now they're cheaper than they were. They're also the same points as Wind Riders. I really like these things. Yeah. They've lost their ridiculous 16-inch scout move. They now only have like a 9-inch scout move, I think, which is, oh no. However will I cope?
You can still get anywhere on the board.
Yeah, with your move as well. It makes it harder to forward, get into a ruin. If you don't go first, if you go second, you maybe have to be a little more cagey with it. But yeah, they're fantastic. Shroud Runners are really good. Really like them there. Skyweavers, they're pretty okay. They're expensive though. 95 points for 2. The main gimmick is they have anti-vehicle 4+ on 2 shots and devastating wounds on their haywire, basically. So, because they get a reroll, you may be getting 6 to 9 mortal wounds on vehicles out of 2 of them. It's not bad for a skirmishing unit. They have some melee output, but I don't know. It feels a little steeper than I'd want to pay compared to everything else.
95 is a lot.
Yeah, but it is a 2-man brawling unit. Maybe you don't even take the haywire. You can take other guns on them. And I'll be honest, my eyes went right past them. Let's have a look at them right now. Let's see here.
Tell you what, I'll be your Jamie and I'll pull it up.
Yeah, go ahead, man. I'm looking as well. So between the 2 of us, we'll get there. Skyweavers, here we go. You can give them shuriken cannons instead. I don't know if I love shuriken cannons. I think I just take the Skyweaver haywire cannons any day of the week. It's only strength 8, 3 AP1, but assuming there are any vehicles in your opponent's army, which I think is pretty likely, you feel good about it. Maybe. We'll call it a maybe.
Yeah. You're paying for the 4 pinball here, right?
You are. You've also got 8 attacks between the 2 of them at strength 5, AP1, 2 damage, which is nothing.
That's all right, you know.
It's not bad. Like you're getting value, but it's when you compare them to the other cheap fast stuff. Like, I'm kind of like, I haven't played a lot of Eldar. I've played against a lot of Eldar.
Really, Ed? You've not played a lot of Eldar?
Yeah. So I'm finding it difficult to evaluate this. This could be the sort of perfect jank unit that does what you want it to do, but I'm not 100% sold yet. We'll see.
I mean, their job in 9th was behind enemy lines, right? And behind enemy lines is a secondary you can pull on these Tempest of War cards.
Their job in 9th was not being picked, unfortunately. They were too expensive.
Oh, well, when you did see them.
But yeah, I don't think Harlequins ever really had an issue with behind enemy lines. They were such a fast army.
No, sure. I think saying about the Harlequin games I played where they did have them, it was their turn one play, right? They'd throw them forward and say, right, well, there you go. That's it done for
Oh,
turn one.
that is
But
expensive.
but at 95, that's what I mean, right? 95 points. Um,
I don't love throwing
moving
away
forward,
5% of my army to get behind enemy lines.
5% your army. God, that's good maths, that.
Yeah, well,
Top maths.
slightly less, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I want them to be good. I love the models, and I think
Yeah.
I'm going to play around with them. I'm excited to play around with them. Solitaire, 115 points. That's quite pricey for an Eldar character from what we've seen here, but it's an absolute blender. You get a once per game, move an additional 2d6, then you get to charge. You get an extra 3 attacks. You got like something like, I want to say it's 12 attacks, strength 8, AP3, 2 damage with precision off the top of my head. That's not bad.
This is classic 10th edition
Okay,
non-reliability.
no. It's strength 6, AP2, 2 damage, and it goes from 9 to 12, but it does have precision. So you can absolutely eat some support character and or a small squad. It's a super squishy unit, but it's also got lone operative, so I think this is good. Even 150 points, I want to put one in my list.
Yeah, it's a missile, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And with how poor the fast melee has got for Eldar, I think that is a good tool to have. Does absolutely get wrecked by Overwatch though, so yeah, you got to be real careful with that one. Maybe it doesn't make the cut.
4 up?
3 up.
Ooh.
But it's T3 wounds, so
3 wounds. Yikes.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Yikes.
It can use fate dice, but like I don't know, it's a bit dicey there. Spirit Seer, 65 points. This thing is fucking hilarious. So this is the Wraith Psyker, basically. It's just a T3 dude with a 4-up invuln. Joins the Wraith. The main thing it gives is +1 to hit for the Wraith unit and lethal hits, which is not a bad combo. At 65 points, I quite like it. If you're running any reasonable number of Wraith Blades or Wraith Guard, I think you put it in there. Going from hitting on 4s to hitting on 3s and then lethal hits is quite nice. Ironically, lethal hits is bad for the Wraith Guard because they have devastating wounds, so you have less chances to roll that 6. But I think you're not really necessarily expecting to roll a lot of 6s on your Wraith Guard. If you need to, you'll put a 6 in there from the Fate dice to just sort of go, okay, I need some more wounds here. But yeah, no, I love it. What is funny about it is if it joins the Wraith Lord, which is a weird thing to do because that's a monster unit of 1, but it can join it and it becomes a unit. It gives over the infantry keyword.
No.
So now,
stop it. No.
Now the Wraith Lord has breachable, which is just the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen. I expect that to be fixed in a way where monsters don't get breachable even if they have the infantry keyword or something like that. I don't believe they've fixed it yet, but that is, I had that pointed out to me. It was very.
Oh my god! I've just seen the last one on this list.
You've rain?
Oh no, sorry, I'm thinking of something else. Ignore me.
Okay. Oh, you're thinking of your card.
I seen Y and a V, and I thought Yinkan.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. She's just hiding down here. Let's blitz through. Starweaver, 80-point transport. You can get back into the transport. I think that's good. It depends whether the troop see any play, which I'm not super sure they will. But if they do, I don't hate that at all. It's got double shuriken catapult as well. It's not an inconceivable. It's not a bad amount of firepower there. Storm Guardians, more expensive than the defensive brothers. I hate this. I'm probably going to take a squad, but I don't feel happy about it. Scorps, talked about them already with Karandris. I think one squad as like your melee punch is quite nice.
Yeah.
Goes in either a Falcon or a Wave Serpent, probably a Wave Serpent just because you can fit more stuff in there. Support weapons, 85 points. You are never seeing the Vibro Cannon. I'm sorry. Like they could have priced the Vibro Cannon at like 35 points and you might not have even taken it still just because the opportunity cost and well, you probably would take it at 35 points. But anyway, so 85 points feels pretty okay for the D cannon. We'll see whether that's right or if it needs to be moved. The other non-line of sight devastating wound gun is fine as well. I might be tempted to run 2 D cannons and then one of these so I can sit one further back and still pump out more wounds. But yeah, it's that poor Vibro cannon. If you've got them, just
it's never
I'm sorry.
a chance, has it? Has it been good in any edition?
Yeah. I seem to remember that at one point in 9th edition, it was quite good, or it was playable because every time you hit a unit with it, I think you got +1 strength and damage against that with the next vibro cannon. So if you had 3 squads, the third squad was hitting it +2 strength and +2 damage, or something along those lines.
Okay.
So at that point, it was like a fun jank thing you could do. I don't know if it was ever super meta breaking, but yeah. Hawks, 75 points. This is the cheapest jump pack infantry you can get, so you probably do see them. Which is a real shame. I really like the spiders more, but they're 25 points more, and they both do a similar amount of not much. So spiders are better, but I don't think they're 25 points better. So yeah, you probably see some swooping hawks, even if they start the game in deep strike, so you can pick up some behind enemy lines or something along those lines down the line.
Oh wow, they did really do a number on death spinners, didn't they?
What, these stats on them? Yeah.
Yeah.
They kill 3 marines. 5 dudes with 6 spinners kills 3 marines on average, which is not nothing. It's not awful. But really, you take them for the ability that says move like 24 inches.
Yeah. Just go where you like.
But we're in a non-line of sight meta. We haven't even played any games yet. We're in a non-line of sight meta. So these things will just absolutely evaporate. So it basically comes down to what's the cheapest unit you can put in deep strike and then come down, I think.
Indeed.
Visach, 90 points. I think that's good for what he does. He gives the squad fights first. He's a bit of a beat stick himself. Not much more to say. Yakan, 270 points. Oh boy, she's pretty good. The combo that everyone's talking about is you kill something with a D cannon, then you put Yakan on the other side of it, and then she's got a really short charge into whatever she wants on the other side. And then you can potentially kill something on the other side of the board in melee, and if you order it correctly, she can then teleport to the squad that's just been killed. It's some bullshit, man. 270 points. I don't even think you feel bad about taking that in the avatar. Yes, it's over a quarter of your points, but that's some beautiful, beautiful jank. And of course, they are going to fix that, but it might take a while. Troop, 75 points for 5. They're kind of shit. I will be trying them out. I'm less hot on them now than I was when I talked about them yesterday. I've had another look at the data sheet, and I'm like, this really just doesn't feel great. If you're running any, you want to take the Troop Master, who's only 55 points, but then he himself is dog shit. He is like the troop captain, and his best weapon in melee is AP2 1 damage. It's really sad. Like, that's really disappointing.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah, there's no like Kegarath's rose to put on him, so I don't know. Maybe you see him. Maybe you see him. I want Harlequins to be playable, but they have some good data sheets.
Man, it's going to be when the book comes out, right?
I don't know if they're getting a book. They feel like they're just fully rolled into Eldari now, so they'll probably get a detachment, but they might only get one detachment. That's what I mean. Yeah. I don't know. I think the problem is I'm not expecting the data sheets to change dramatically. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully they'll make some changes, and Porter will just go back to absolutely stomping us with Harlequins instead of GSC, which is a great place to be. Void Weaver. This thing is pretty good. At 100 points, I think you like it. I think it competes too heavily with the Fire Prism at 125. But in 3 to 6 months' time, if the Fire Prism goes up to 185, I don't think you feel bad about taking these. They do some flat damage, or they do some mortal wounds with their Haywire. They're solid. I like them. I think that they're pointed fairly appropriately, whereas a lot of stuff in this index is pointed very inappropriately. So yeah, not bad. Vipers. This shit cray. You ignore cover. Like, you can turn off cover for a unit that shoots that you shoot this with. Fucking hell, use your words. You shoot something with a Viper. The rest of your army ignores cover against that unit. Boom. That's really good. It's 75
points.
Yeah, it's a very versatile model. Normally, in last edition, you take like a scat laser or something on that. Like, it's just something super cheap, because they were just a jank unit that you'd use for screening or behind enemy lines. Now it removes cover. Now you can take a Bright Lance and get your 1 reroll to hit and wound. I think Vipers are fantastic. I think they're
That's
really
pretty good.
I don't think you run 3, but I think if you put 1 or 2 in your list, you're not unhappy about it at all. Warwalkers, very similar. They've got the same jank. Now you can just take the best weapon on them and it doesn't matter. They're kind of hard to kill, and by kind of hard, I mean disgustingly hard. I think they're only T7 or 6 or 7, something like that. But they're -1 to wound. They have a 4-up invuln. I don't know what they were smoking when they made this model. They're good, which is a shame because they look horrendously bad. You might like them because you like the old retros pathetic, or you think they're cute. I think they look awful. I'm not a fan at all. Warlock, support character, 45 points, not much to say. Warlock Conclave, 60 points for your Farseer to join. I do not like it. They get an invuln and -1 to wound when the Farseers joined them. So you might think that it's a good way to screen from non-line of sight. I'm really underwhelmed by them. Not a fan at all. Just very boring rules. Warlock Skyrunner can join squads that the Farseers are in as well. 55 points. You maybe look at him.
It's just the less good Farseer, right?
No. Well, so Warlocks are a little odd in that. What is his buff he brings? So he can let you ignore cover with a squad's unit, or turn off, or give it stealth. Sorry, that's what you can do. And then he's got a psychic flamer, which is strength 5 AP 1/1 damage. Honestly, I don't hate it at 55 points a model. I don't think you end up taking one. It doesn't feel super efficient. When there's other ways to ignore cover, I probably want to take Vipers for multiple reasons anyway. But I don't know. Maybe if we start running 3 units, like if other things get nerfed and we run 3 units of 3 units of 9 Wind Riders, which is a world I'd love to live in, by the way. Maybe at that point you just go, cool, I'll put 1 on every squad. They all ignore cover. Jobs are good. That's something. Let's see what else we have here. The Skyrunner Conclave, again, 50 points a model just for your Farseer to join. Don't do it. Just buy some Wind Riders. Like, Wind Riders are good. Wind Riders are real fucking good. Warp Spiders, I really like Warp Spiders. I wish they were cheaper in terms of like the comparison between them and Hawks. I think you don't take them now. I think if dev wounds and non-line sights, if the game becomes more hospitable that way to small models that can stand behind terrain, I think I prefer Warp Spiders because they have better get around the board jank. But yeah, I don't think you take them at the moment. Wave Serpent, 120 points. Fucking hell. This is so good.
Yeah.
This is like the best transport in the game. Maybe I would put the Orc transport up there as well. Just the truck, because spoiler, truck is 50 points, which is wild for a transport. But 120 points, it's so good. I know fly's worse than it was, but it's got weapons. I'm pretty sure it can deep strike just natively. You can do some mortal wounds and cause a battle shock test. You can fit 12 models in there. You need transports in this game currently, so that's going to be fantastic.
Don't think you can deep strike. I think that's the Falcon, right? The Falcon is the one that deep strikes.
Does it not natively deep strike? I just assumed.
No, just looking at it now, it's got that's cool 12-inch visible to the model. Roll 1d6 on a 2-up. They suffer D3 mortal wounds. So must take a battle shock.
Okay. Interesting. What is a little bit funny about it is you're never going to use your faction reroll to wound on it because all the weapons it has are twin linked,
every single one is twin linked except the shuriken cannon.
You can give it the shuriken cannon on the bottom. Okay, that's less fun, which I guess you do because it's better than the catapults. Okay, fine. You've got some use for it. That's
no. Well, I mean, the guns that really matter are the ones, right?
Yeah, no. Like that's a good thing that it has some use for its rules. I just thought I saw a fun little bit of inadequacy there. Webway Gate, 220 points.
Worth it.
Games Workshop, what are you smoking? Like, why is this the thing that's priced very high? I don't get it.
They don't want to make any more?
Hammerfall Bunk is like 200 points. Maybe a little bit more. It is nuts. Yeah, you don't take this.
No.
You know what you do? If you have one, you use super glue so you can snap it off if it becomes good again later on down the line. But you make some really nice Eldar themed terrain. And then you just think about snapping it off if it ever comes down to 50 points or something. 220 points is hilarious. I can't even remember the rules on it, but I know a fortification is not worth 220 points there. Wind Riders, fuck me. They're so cheap. And this is like you just take the best weapon on them, which is probably the shuriken cannon. It may be scat lasers because we're going to see a lot of Marines. Marines have armor of contempt. They don't get the benefit of cover on a 3-up save, so maybe just the volume from a scatter laser is good. But yeah, this is so fucking cheap that I'll be running at least one squad of 3. So one squad of 9, sorry. I will then be tempted to run more of them.
And that's the one you want to put the Farseer on
with
so
the
you're rerolling all
upgrade.
your
Yeah,
hits.
absolutely. Well,
Okay.
so they reroll hits natively.
Oh.
I think it's reroll ones or reroll all if it's the closest squad, something like that, or it might be on a target. Let's just clarify.
Jamie, pull that up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wind
If they're in
Riders.
range of an objective that your opponent controls. Yeah, so if you're killing things in objective, which is where you want to kill things, they get rerolls to hit. It's really nice. Then you can either give them the shuriken cannons, the catapults that they have already, which have twin linked, or you can just give them the other guns, which are probably just better.
Actually, if the twin link does it, that means you're rerolling all your wounds as well, right? So
yeah, so they'd be rerolling hits and wounds.
Ooh, that's not very nice.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not super scared about 2 shots at strength 4 AP 1 damage. I quite like sustained hits, especially if you've got reroll hits. Sustained hits 1, strength 6 AP 1 2 damage. That's not bad. Especially if you're stripping off cover with a Viper, you can even potentially get some models up on some high bits of terrain and shoot down. And then with a big squad, you may be struggling to do that.
Do Eldar have any ways to get +1 to wound? I don't like that.
Oh yeah, Eldar, who's 100 points, and you're probably putting in every list.
So +1 to wound, you're wounding Marines on 2s then, right?
Yeah.
With the scar laser, but then they still have a 3-up save, right? Yeah.
So it's AP 1 on the shuriken cannon.
I was thinking scar laser. I was thinking literally drawing them in dice.
Yeah. I think all of the options are interesting, and it'll be worth mathing out. But they're good. Wraiths. Oh my god, yes. 34 points a model. Like, they used to be so expensive. I swear they used to be, I think, 45 points with the force axe, and the shimmer shield, scatter shield, whatever it's called. Yeah, now you're paying 34 points for a T7 model with 3 wounds. Yeah, and a 4-up in one. That's pretty good. It only hits on 4s, but it's fine because you attach a character to it that gives them +1 to hit and lethal hits. So you think of the squad as 405 points because you're definitely putting a character in there as well. But yeah, this is a great place to put your foot Farseer's buff on to make them -1 to wound, which is protect, I believe, and just makes them super hard to shift.
Do they have mortal wound protection?
No. Eldar don't really do mortal wound protection, which is a real problem. So, yeah. Wraithguard.
But still, though, that's
31 points per. They're good. They've got guns. They can. Oh, sorry. Wraithblades can fight on death on a 4+. Wraithguard can shoot if they're targeted once per battle round, so that's quite nice. So here's why I'm not super bothered about not having mortal wound protection, and it's the Wraith Knight, because he's just going to table your opponent.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So you just take the 2 lances. Tom and I were talking last night, and we were kind of hot on the shield. The more I think about it, the more I think, actually, I just want more guns, because I'm not going to get an invuln. My opponent's just going to mortal wound me to death. So, yeah. You take the 2 guns, D3 shots each, blast. So if you're shooting Terminators, you're averaging, 2, 4, 8 hits? Well, 8 shots. You've got a reroll to hit in there as well. If you need to overwatch, you can use some fake dice to get 6s. There's a lot of way to get good 6s. Farseers, obviously, you turn any fake die to a 6. That's pretty neat. Yeah, this thing at 370 points, I think you take at least 2. I'd be very tempted. Oh, mate, they're so good. Like, so let's just talk about shooting a Terminator squad without feeling the pain. You've got 8 shots. You're going to roll, that's average about 6 hits if you include your reroll there. It's, close enough. Then all you're doing is fishing for 6s. So you slow roll, let's say 3 of them with using your reroll in there. And then you're going to change one of the, you're going to use a fake die, just a 1 or something, a really non-valuable one. You're going to change that to a 6 because a Farseer is nearby. Then you're going to use the 2 6s in your pool that you start with, because this is turn 1. And you're going to do 3 to 4 sets of mortal wounds. Each set of mortal wounds is 2d6. So you're potentially, I think you're pretty reasonably doing 8d6 mortal wounds to the Terminators. and then they're also having to take some saves and taking 2d6 damage on top of that. There's only a couple of them in there, but like, oh, if you don't have mortal wound protection, it's not good. And then he can do the same thing in their turn because he can Overwatch. This is more fate dice intensive. You need 6s to hit and 6s to wound, but like, if you can get enough fate dice, which you probably can with Eldrad, with the Farseer, with the what do we call them? The pull it up, Jamie. The Guardian Defenders to give you more fate dice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Wraith Knights, they're going to do a lot of mortal wounds.
So are these the ones that come in? These are the ones that come in the starter box, right?
Mm-mm.
Oh, is this the
That's
Titanic
the
one?
Wraith
It's a
Lord.
Titanic one.
Yeah, I know. The names are the wrong way around. It's bizarre. But Wraith
And
Knight's the big Titanic one.
And are they easy to get hold of, these Wraith Knights?
Not from Games Workshop. They're all out of stock.
I see you, Ed. I see you, Ed.
I haven't got them yet, but I won't have any issue getting my hands on them.
I will have them.
So yeah, I'm gonna have 2 of those. I'm expecting them to get nerfed pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I do love the model, so I'll probably just get hold of one, and then if they hang around, like if we're rolling up to LGT time, I'll probably get myself a second. Maybe with playtesting, you find you only need one. Legitimately, you might only need one because there's kind of diminishing returns on multiple of them. The amount of because you need fate dice for 6s for each one. So
what toughness are these guys?
Oh, they're like 10-inch move, T12, only 18 wounds, but they've got -1 damage. They've got a 2-up armor save. They've got potential for a 4-up invuln, but only if they give up one of the guns, which I don't think you want to do.
No.
So yeah.
Yeah, 2-up, toughness 12.
They're very good. If you're in a mirror match, you potentially. Oh, sorry. The bit that I think maybe we didn't talk about, but push them over the line, they're towering. So they don't benefit or have to care about obscuring. So if you're behind ruins with windows, it doesn't matter. They're just going to kill you turn 1. Like, you cannot hide from this unless you sit behind the big L. Like, take a big L. It's, yeah. Wraith Lord 160 points. Honestly, a bit expensive for what it is compared to the other models in this codex. And then your Vayne, 100 points. She's fine. We talked, I think, for way too long about elves there. So let's have a quick flick through on the agents. Here's something I hate to see. Vindicare, 80 points. I had a rant about how I really hate the game design of Vindicare Assassins a few days ago. I still hate it. And at 80 points, I think legitimately you might see them in most Imperium armies because killing characters is good. If you're playing Knights, Imperial Knights, killing their Warlord is very good. Oh boy, it's a thing.
Vindicare Assassin.
Yeah, he's a sniper. He does lots of mortal wounds.
Yeah, that looks pretty rough.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Other than that, some interesting stuff in here. The Inquisitors across the board are kind of interesting. I quite like the basic one, honestly. Or Cotes. Cotes is quite nice because he lets you farm CP when your opponent also farms CP, so that's not bad. The Extraction Squad is quite funny. They can have Webbers, which is just the mortal wound flamers that GSE get. That might be good. You can have 4 of them in a 10-man squad. I don't know if that's good, but you can flame mortal wounds for 75 points. Maybe that's something that's worth looking at. What else we got? We've got Drax is pretty cheap. Like, I think most of the things in here are pointed appropriately. Karamazov is not tough and he's not lone operative and he has to stand on his own. So you never take him, but he's a dickhead. So
is that the one that's in the chair?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, his own seat. Love that.
Yeah, exactly. Lovely stuff. The only thing I want to check is let's have a quick look at the Voidsman Arms datasheet because do they have native deep strike? If they do, at 40 points, they're back in my list.
Does it look like it?
Okay, good.
Each time modeling this unit makes a range attack. The only abilities they have is when they make a range attack, the closest eligible target, they have lethal hits.
That's fine. So we don't see them. We were seeing them in a lot of Imperial lists back in 9th edition. So we're not going to see them now. But if non-line of sight dies, then we might see them again. Just a cheap backfield holder.
Have you seen their melee weapons?
I haven't looked. Are they fun?
So they have close combat weapon, right? One attack, blah, blah, blah. Then they have vicious bite.
Okay.
And that is 3 attacks.
That's a dog in the squad there.
That's a dog in the squad. That makes sense. I just totally imagine them all biting people.
They're all very fancy looking in their armor.
Yeah.
Just thinking about them biting people is quite funny. Cool. Let's have a quick
Eat
look
the
at
rich,
the
right?
Astra Militarum. Big tanks, very expensive. It's real whiplash to see like a 520 point super heavy tank compared
Yes.
to the 370 point Wraith Knight. Don't love it. Lehman Russes feel quite expensive.
What we're looking at 180. Ooh,
180
yeah.
for the Punish is quite nice because it does mortal wounds. But then if you're looking at like an Exterminator, the Demolisher is quite a good one, but it's 220 points. That's really fucking expensive. The way that now that they've split the data sheets, which makes loads of sense, because every unit costs the same no matter the equipment. So having them split to different ones, now you can point them differently. Yeah. Existence says, and Knights costing around 400 points. Yeah, yeah. I think Knights are quite good as well. Like, they're not Space Marines. They might be on about par with Custodes, actually, thinking about it. They've got some fun jank that they can do in there. But, yeah, they're not Space Marines. They're not Eldar, that's for sure. Kassakin, quite expensive now. I don't know, like, it's just sort of like they're going to bring bodies, and the bodies are going to be good. They've got Scout Sentinels. They're 50 points. How much are the normal Sentinels? Where's your normal Sentinels? What are they called? Armored Sentinels. That's it. 70 points a model. That kind of sucks. I don't know if I love 70 points a model. Existence says Knights have less wounds than their Baneblade. Yeah, that's fair, but they do have an Invuln, and they do have more versatility. So I'd expect a Knight to be a bit. I want the super heavy tanks to be cheap, not oppressively cheap, but I want you to see them on the tabletop because someone's brought one because it's like 350 points. And you go, this is going to die if you look at it because it's got no invuln. It's just a big ball of wounds. But, this is, it's got the firepower to match. I'd be quite happy to see that. Because they're not towering, so they don't interact with terrain in the way that Knights do.
Yeah, that's a good point. How is Indirect looking for these guys? I've just had a look at the Basilisk and the Manticore.
It's looking okay.
It's not looking amazing. It's a lot of
they've got rules. They've got rules to ignore the indirect penalties. So I'll be honest, I've looked at too many indexes. I can't remember exactly how, but there are ways to nullify those effects. So I think they're pretty good. And they also, if they stand still, they have lethal hits on a 6. So you're auto wounding, and thus immediately your mortars become valuable again. Let's just have a look at the heavy weapon squad. Heavy weapon squad. 60 points for 3. More expensive than they were. Probably still use them. Either Wizzle says the Voxcaster thing. I'm afraid that doesn't illuminate me, but thank you so much for chiming in. Yeah, Guard feel fine. They're too honest with what they do.
Yeah. They've got one play style, haven't they? Not one play style. It's they're going to do what they do.
You. They're going to be very stationary. They're going to shoot you. If their indirect is good, they're very good. If their indirect is middling, then I think they really crumble. I hope their indirect is not really good. Like, it's just miserable to play against. And yes, I know I'm going to be playing Eldar. I'm hoping the good things get nerfed so we can play fun stuff all around the board. Black Templars. They look pretty decent. So obviously you've got all the tanks, which are just the same. We're not going to talk about those. The Crusader squads. They're looking fairly cheap. So you're looking at you're looking at 14.5 points per model for a normal Crusader squad, and then 15 points per model for the Primaris. That's not. Oh no, hold on. That's the Sword Brethren.
Yeah,
I can't read.
Kettle of fish.
So here you're looking at 11. Yeah, you're looking at just less than 16 points for the Primaris Sword Brethren. Crusader squads. They're pretty solid. I like them. Sword Brethren at 5 points a model as well. I like those. I'll have to see how the Blade Guard are pointed, because that feels pretty okay. They're just good melee. They've got 3 wounds, so they're up there with Blade Guard still. You can only take 1 Vindicate. Yeah, that is absolutely correct, Simon. I don't think you'd want to take more than that. I think he's too gimmicky, but I feel like you feel pretty okay about taking 1 in most Imperial lists. Yeah, Black Templars. I think this opens up the play style of running at someone and just weighing them down with bodies. So Oh, thank you, Whistle. So, Expert Bombardier Strat gives your indirect fire +1 to hit if you target an enemy unit a Voxcaster unit can see. That's correct. So, it's kind of like you have to have a spotter. It's not free to ignore the penalties, but they'll make it work. God players are smart. They have to be. After playing for 5 years with the same book, which was an 8th edition codex.
Yeah, they know the rules. They've watched loads of World War II documentaries. They know what they're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes the ones in German. Simon B says demo charges in the Navi breaches for free. That is very nice. Every time I see a demo charge, I get a little bit of fear. I think, how is this going to fuck me? So that is a great shout out. I don't think they're good, but it is funny. Existence says Imperial Knights want the Vindicator to punk the Warlord and get unload and gain 3 CP. I absolutely agree. I think they want one of the assassins. It probably ends up being the Vindicator, but if people start playing like really weedy characters as your Warlord, then I think we might see something along the lines of the Caladius, which messes with your opponent's CP and is also a half passable character assassin as well. But yeah, Vindicator is the one that seems most obvious. Yeah, Black Templars like it. We'll just have to have a look at the Gladiator Lancer. Yeah, sure. Let's have a look here. Simon says the Canid has it only. You're a little bit behind, Simon, but thank you for weighing in. We did think for a second that everyone had bites. So Lancer is 145, Reaper is 155. Let's just go back up.
Woof.
That is steep.
And now that's for the multi-melter.
Yeah, I don't love that. I'm not a fan of that.
Ew.
Yeah, I can see why they've got different data sheets. That's quite spenny.
Maybe that is maybe this new kind of design space they're in, where they're like, hey, you don't want to take loads of these. Don't spam vehicles, because people were thinking about that with Black Templars in 9th. Don't spam vehicles. You're supposed to take these Crusader squads.
Well, they're definitely pushing vehicles across the board, but it feels like Black Templars might be one of the best armies to go for if you don't want to play that sort of style. Emperor's Champion, 85 points, absolute hero. Love to see that. I really like the Sword Brethren. We'll get to Blade Champions, Blade Guard down the line, so we'll have to see how they are pointed. Blood Angels, they're pretty okay. The character's a little expensive. Sanguinor for 160. He still does the heroic intervention, where he just comes from reserve and punks something into combat that's charged one of your units, which is nice. 160 points for that is, maybe it's fine. He has fights first, so it feels pretty okay when he does it. But yeah. Asterath is 100 points. He's a bit of a beat stick. Death Company feel expensive. I know it's because you've got the Thunderhammers rolled in. I can't actually remember how much they cost with Thunderhammers before everything went Clown World at the end of 9th edition. So maybe that's about right. 155 points for 5 with Thunderhammers. That's probably okay, honestly. And you don't have to mess around taking less Thunderhammers. Thunderhammers are less good now, so maybe you don't do it. But
so that's like 30 points a model, right?
Yeah, 31 points a model. That's probably about right for a Thunderhammer and whatever else.
And a jetpack.
Yeah. I don't think they get anything else, honestly. I think that takes up all the slots.
But it's not much of a jump from the normal Death Company, right? So you get 25 points more and everyone gets to fly.
Sure. So it's an extra 5 points a model to fly, which is not nothing. I don't know. It's probably still fine, but Thunderhammer's got significantly worse, which is why I'm struggling to evaluate whether that's good enough. We'll come back to this one in a few months when we find out if melee matters. Spoiler.
Predator 125 as well. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it feels okay. I think that's more than I'd want to pay for it. Like, which is a wild thing to say, but like, well, maybe you don't because the flame run is quite nice. But
flame is 18-inch or 12?
12, I believe. But it's a good flamer. It's like 622 D6 plus 3 shots, something like that.
Yeah.
The reason I'm less hot on that, I'm interested to see the Land Raider Redeemer. I think it's probably going to be about 250 points, but I genuinely haven't checked yet, so I'm looking forward to that. Librarian Dreadnought at 185. This is so sad. God damn it, Games Workshop. Sandguard at 215 points, like 43 points a model. This ain't it, Super Chief. This is absolutely not it. Like, fuck it hell. Who wrote that?
Yeah,
I think they were. I want to say there were about 30 points when they were being played for Blood Angels in ninth. This is so much more. Oh, rough. I also like the difference between Death Company Ancestors and Death Company Marines. I know it's because you can take just all Thunderhammers for the Marines, but still, it looks funny. Demons.
Oh, yeah, that's weird, that, right? Yeah, I've just seen that. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's the Thunderhammers. Demons. When I looked at the index on Demons, I was quite keen on them. The points have come in, they're quite expensive. A lot of the stuff that I thought was really good now looks a bit expensive. Like Franco pointed out in the chat that 3 Fiends is 150 points. That's 50 points a model. People were running them at 30 points. People were running them, I think they went down to 25. They were really good then. They had more attacks than they have now. 50 points is like, Jesus. You could instead take Blood Crushers, and you could take a character that gives them devastating wounds, and you could just be really fucking jazzed about that. So I think you do that. A lot of the stuff in here, all the yellow stuff does dev wounds. There's a lot of devastating wounds for Chaos Demons. I'm not super excited about a lot of it. The Slanesh stuff's fine, but a lot of it feels kind of more expensive. Like, where's she at? Keeper Secrets, 330 points. Lord of Change, 230.
Wait, so the Keeper of Secrets is 330 and the Lord of Change is 230?
Keeper Secret's pretty good. Not 100 points better.
Yeah, it's not 100 points better.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I think there's some good stuff in here. Like Soul Grinder, 215. That, for me, I'm not jazzed about that. Skull Taker, he's great at 95 points. Skull Master giving out devastating wounds to the Blood Crushers at 105 feels really solid. What else are we looking at here? Really disappointed by the Beast of Nurgle. Going to a max squad size of 2 makes them kind of hard to do what they can do.
I won't lie, I'm a big fan of that. Do they still regen all the wounds and stuff?
They do, but there's only 2 models in the squad, so you're less likely to have something stupid left around alive.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Demons are fine. I think I need to reassess Demons, because the things that I thought were going to be very good, I kind of pointed higher than I'd like them to be. So quite keen to see some Tzeentch stuff though. Let's have a look at the Flamers. 65 points for 3. They're nowhere near what they used to be. They are significant.
There's no AP, right?
Yeah, it's like a strength 4 flame or something. There are ways to buff it, but just as like a fast unit to skirmish, I don't hate that. Screamers are obviously bad. Lord of Change at 230 points is very interesting. Like, maybe you go a Monster Mash list built around 3 of these, and what's he called? Old 2-head boy.
Fate
Weaver.
Fate Weaver.
Where is Fate Weaver?
No, Kairos, isn't it? Kairos.
Yeah, there we go. He's not. We're lying to each other. 285 points. Like, that's not bad. Bloodthirst 300. That's
300.
That's fine for what he does. But I am kind of tempted just to like write down a list that's built around 4 keepers. Not 4 keepers, 4 Lords of Change. That's
4 Lords of Change, bunch of pink horrors, right? Because the horrors are pretty cool now.
Yeah, pink horrors are pretty decent. I didn't even look at the points on the pink horrors. Let's have a look at those. 140. That's good. That's just where they want to be. That's really nice. Yeah, I feel like Tzeentch kind of made up like bandits here. The corn stuff's pretty decent as well. Some of the Slanesh stuff is more expensive than I'd like, and Nurgle is Nurgle, so kind of don't care because it's slow. Actually, let's have a look. How much is the big beefy boy? Oh, where is he at?
Scarbrand.
No, sorry, the
Rotigus.
No, the non-named version of Rotigus. My brain is falling out my ass here. What's he called? The Nurgle Greater Demon.
Great
Lord of Great and Clean one. Fuck.
Great and Clean one.
I knew that. 208 points. It's fine. And then you give him. So he's 310 with the Film of Pain. It's beefy. It's not bad. I feel like there's a pretty fun Monster Mash list in there. I'm keen to see. Knights. This is the first Knights list. Yeah. There's been some talk, some talk about 3 big knights and 6 little ones for Imperial more than Chaos. But look at these points. I really like these points. Like, you used to pay like 450 upwards for some of the big knights. Like, an Abominant was 430. The Despoiler was 400. Not Despoiler, the Desecrator, I think it was 400. The Rampage was 400. So some of these models have seen a pretty significant cut. And the Knight Tyrant was 650 points. This is incredible. Obviously, Lewis is going to run 4 Valiants, or 3 Valiants and 1 something else. Yeah, Hilo Wuzzle says something had to make Lewis feel better about his big tank being banned. You're absolutely right. And it did make him feel better. He was quite jazzed about this in the chat. So yeah, that's nice. These are weird. Executioner at 135 points. Why is this the cheapest? It's now on par with the Stalker. All right, cool. These are both very good. You do need to buff them up a little bit here, but the Stalker's great. Carnivore 160. That's an odd design choice. You've gone from
they're
the
close
most
combat ones, right?
Yeah, you've gone from the cheapest unit because it's so single target and it's melee to the most expensive one. Odd.
The execution is still good because they were awesome in 9th, right?
They're AP1, which kind of hurts. The problem with looking at every index is it all blends to one a little bit. Imperial Knights have a way of giving 2 of them AP if they shoot the same target. I can't remember if Chaos Knights do as well.
No, these guys get +1 to hit when they attack a unit below half strength.
It was a stratagem. That's what I'm looking for here.
Right. And what did you think it did?
I'm looking to see if they've got extra AP. So it's called Dreadhounds. No, they get +1. They get crit hits of a 5+ and sustained hits. You don't get extra AP. So maybe the executions are not super exciting. AP1, it's not great, but it's not terrible if you're putting it into vehicles. I don't know. 135 points feels interesting because you want something to sit in your back objective. So I feel like you take at least 1 of these, maybe 2, just because 2 better than 1. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty jazzed about this.
Man, that Carnivor's not messing around, right? -3 AP, strength 12, D6 +2 damage, 6 attacks.
It is pretty solid in melee, but I don't think it's like 25 points better than a Stalker, for example. It's 25 points of melee better, easily. But then the Stalker has a gun. I don't know. I think you might not see many Carnivores just because they're so expensive. They could have made it 150 and that would have been fine. The Brigand at 150 is incredible. Double gun. It gets AP if it's shooting the closest unit. Oh, it's beautiful. Such a good gun. Such a good unit even. The enhancements are quite expensive, but I think that's fine because you're putting them on an expensive model anyway. So, yeah, really pleased about this. The fact that the Despoiler, which I believe is the double gun knight, you can now just take 2 Avenger Gatling cannons for 410. Before that would have cost something stupid like 485 because there was like an upcharge if you had 2 of the same gun. The Spoiler's looking kind of thick. They do mortal wounds as well, or is it the Desecrator? No, I think it's the Desecrator. Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to playing some Chaos Knights. I'm really looking forward to seeing the Megara when that comes out from Forge World, but we will see. CSM, CSM, they're looking not good, not bad. Sorry, they're looking not good. I'm liking it. Yeah. So Forge Fiend, 165 points. If it's you can get hazardous and devastating wounds with loads of shots. This is good. Possessed, 145 points for 5. This is pretty good. It's less than 30 points a model. They're fucking insane. Keep them unmarked. What else have we got in here? Vashtor is a joke. The Helldrake's such a nice profile. I'm so disappointed it's 205 points because it's like the perfect skirmishing unit to deal with like little flyers or little things with fly because he's got dev wounds and anti-flyer 2+, which is very funny in melee. That is. I don't think you take him at 205 points. Chaos Terminators, cheaper than their loyalist counterparts. Weird, but sure. You've got less choices. You can't give them the Thunderhammer and Storm Shield, obviously, but you can do your own jank with them here. That's not a problem at all. The fact that there's like set points means that you're gonna just take all of the upgrades as well, which you're pretty happy about. Chosen at 230 points for 10. I like that. 23 points a model feels very good for what you can give them. Master Executions at 80 points. He's a super solid model, gives fights first, I believe. It's just great. There is a very funny one, which is Legionnaires at 20 points a model. Okay, sure. Noise Marines, 17 points a model. I don't understand that.
Why don't they learn their lesson? But then their guns aren't as good now, right?
They're not, but like they're 15 points cheaper than Legionaries. So if you want to take Legionaries, maybe you consider will Noise Marines do the same job.
True.
So that's pretty
So-
fun. Obliterators. I think there's a possibility you take a big brick of these because you want to deal with your opponent's non-line of sight, and they can shoot once per game non-line of sight. So you put them in reserve, you bring them down somewhere, and you just go, cool, I'm sacrificing this brick, which you'll have to run the numbers. Maybe it's 320 points, but I'm killing all of my opponent's non-line of sight shooting. I think that's worthwhile. You leave them unmarked, you get full rerolls to hit and wound. It's which is a CP to do that, but yeah, very pleased with that. Very, very solid. You give them sustained hits as well, so they kill like an unreasonable amount of models there. What else have we got? Land Raider, first Land Raider, 255 points. That feels okay. They're a lot better than they were. Assault Ramp coming back is pretty cool. I'm a fan of that. Yeah, I think Land Raiders feel pretty solid. Lord Discordant, 220 points. Fuck. It's dead, Jim. It's dead.
It's a dumb model, and I hate it anyway.
Time of death, 831. I'm sorry. We did everything we could. we put no good rules on its data sheet, and we costed it 220 points. There was nothing we could do. Yeah, no, it's gone. It's super gone.
That's out of here.
Yeah, Lucius the Eternal at 95 points. I like that. He's a absolute badass. There's a lot of stuff in here. Master Possession at 70 points to go with your inevitable multiple bricks of possessed. Yeah, Noctilu's Crown at 125 points is pretty interesting. Not because I think it's good, just it's the cheapest fortification we've seen by like 50%, basically. We've tried nothing and it's not working. Yeah, basically. They were pretty solid. They were pretty good caddies in 8th for Warlord Traits and Relics, and 9th as well. And then 10th, they're not good. They're not good at all. But that's okay. I don't own any, so it's meaningless to me. I just want to very quickly check. What the fuck does Liber Hereticus do? And why does it cost 40 points? That is such an upgrade. This better be just cracked out of its goddamn mind. Liber Hereticus. Each time the unit makes a Dark Pact, it gets lethal hits and sustained hits instead of just one. Okay, that's pretty good. Honestly, I don't know if that's 40 points plus a support character.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. That's a lot.
That's a lot. What's the cheap one here? Intoxicating Elixirs. 5-up Feel No Pain. Cause Battle Shock. That's fine on a Demon Prince. Like, if you see any... Oh, Demon Princes, how are they? I completely skipped those. Demon Prince. Wait. wait. Where's the D? Oh, here we go. Heretic Astartes Demon Prince. Oh, 195 points.
Ooh.
That's what you'd be kind of okay with paying in the 9th edition, but now they're not able to join squads and they're not lone operatives.
Yeah, very. They have the high time problem, don't they?
I'd have liked to have seen them, like, maybe this is controversial, like 130 points. And then I'd be tempted because you'd just go, cool. Oh no, you caught it. Okay, not the end of the world. But it gives you a bit of a beat stick. I don't
What's
think
its symbol? Is it 3-up? Or is it 4-up or 5-up?
I assume it's a 4-up. Honestly, don't care enough to find out. It's
fine.
Even with a 4-up, it's not playable.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we're an hour and a half in and we're at C.
Yeah, you say that, but that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're 11 indexes in. If you look at let's just very quickly go up. You look at it, you get to here, and you're like, hold on, this is over halfway, and we're at D. So it's not as bad as it feels.
You know what?
Yeah.
I eat those words.
No.
I'm going to get a drink, though.
No worries. While you're doing that, I'll just quickly talk about Dark Angels. I'm less concerned about Dark Angels than I was. I thought they were going to be really kind of back-breaking oppressive. But Deathwing Knights are quite a bit more than normal Terminators. You're paying sort of 40 points more. No, sorry, 30 points more than Terminators here. 10 points more here for the Command Squad. The Command Squad's very good, so you probably do that. But the extra points here, you don't love it. The characters are 90 points. That's quite expensive. The Azrael at 120 points is really nice. It just, the things that he goes in is there. The Ravenwing Black Knights, 115 points for 3. And then 145 points for the Command Squad. I don't understand why this is just straight double for the Command Squad, because it's the first 3 models that are the good ones. I would like to see, if they had to go 145 points, which is way overcosted for what these things do. If they had to go 145 points and then put an extra 115 points on for 3 additional models that don't do anything other than just sit there and shoot and get rezzed, I could understand that logic, but 290 points for this squad is an absolute fucking travesty. Like, who's ever going to put these in their list? This is bad. These things have decent rules, and at some point they're going to get like FAQ down. If Space Marines stop being playable somehow, they'll get brought down. Then they'll hit a saturation point, and suddenly you'll see them run, and they'll be like unbelievably good. But yeah. Not at
Ezekiel's looking pretty hot at 80 points, right?
He's not bad. As with all characters, it just depends who he can join. I'm pretty sure. Is he an old Marine? I feel like he can only join old Marines.
Okay.
But yeah, 80 points for him is fine. Gulmar says it's double because they didn't put any thought into it. They use the same cost for models. Yeah, it's just a shame for the Command Squads that's the way it is. It feels like you could have just not done that. Like over here, the Command Squad is 10 points more. Over here, the Command Squad is 30 points more for the half size. It's a lot. That is a lot. Talonmaster's at 115. So they're effectively 230 points because you take 2 and then they lone operative each other and you can never target them because that's incredibly stupid. But yeah, so 230 points for 2 Talonmasters. That's pretty neat. Death Guard. Death Guard are cheap. Like, the Blightlord Terminators are 175 points for 5. That's 30 points cheaper than normal Marine Terminators. 20 points cheaper than Chaos Space Marine Terminators. This feels like, and I will have to ask around, but it feels like the playtest document and then the public reveals and then the live document, it feels like those are 2 different values. I would be surprised if they were playtesting these at 175. It feels like they've kind of realized that they are super underwhelming and that they've just immediately given them a points cut before they came out with them. Well, I'll have to see if I can find anything out there. This is odd, honestly. But 350 points for 10, 35 points a model. I don't hate that.
What price do you put? Well, how many points did it cost to lose a pip of movement, right?
They are very slow. They're a little bit tougher. Games Workshop typically doesn't value speed well when they balance games, from what I've seen, which is why fast factions tend to be the best ones. But yeah, I don't know. Like, the points on this might be enough to make them just go, okay, you've got really anti-synergistic rules, but you've got cheap models, so you can just kind of weirdly hoard your... Like, Death Guard being the horde army for Chaos Space Marines feels a little odd, but yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see how this goes.
Are they encouraging Poxwalkers here? Is that something they're encouraging?
55 points, no, that's Cultists. 60 points for Poxwalkers. I don't think they want to go back down the Poxwalker spam avenue if they can avoid it. You probably take some. I don't think you take that many. I don't even know if the battle line... I think they're not battle line. I think you capped at 60. Okay. I don't think you take 60. Yeah, like... I don't know. They're just, like, weirdly cheap. And then the Death Shroud Terminators... How many points are they? 280 for 6. It's been such a long week. I'm actually going to get my calculator out for this one. No shame there. 46, 47 points a model. That's a lot. They are good. I don't know. Death Guard are really difficult to work out here. How much is Mortarion? That's something I'm interested in seeing. 370 points. That's on the lower end for a Titanic model. The Lord of War, whatever you're calling them now. Okay. I'm holding back my initial contempt for Death Guard. We will see.
It's a tough one, isn't it? It's tough. Death Guard are really funny, eh? Like, because there's not many armies like them. That is the slow march across the battlefield.
They are unfortunate because if they're good in the hands of like the average player, they are unbelievably broken in the hands of a good player, because they have to be so tanky that they survive to just like all the firepower played by someone who doesn't really understand how to make the most of your models. If you do understand how to make the most of your models, your survivability suddenly goes up massively. You're getting in cover more. You're avoiding getting shot by things. So yeah, they're a really hard one to balance, and I don't envy Games Workshop for that. But yeah, interested to see how they go. Deathwatch. I'm pretty hot on Deathwatch. This is spicy. So there's 3 things that I've highlighted here for Mortal Wounds. Obviously, they can do Mortal Wounds themselves, but also these are the 3 squads that I immediately like. Terminators, 210 points. Cool. They've got so much for like flexibility in their loadout. It's just nice. You'll pay an extra 5 points for that. Veterans, 100 points for 5. If anyone played Deathwatch in 8th or 9th edition, you'd have seen how much war gear they had and how much they had to pay for their war gear. The fact that they just like don't pay for their war gear now is kind of bizarre. The kill team is wrapped it in. So you're looking at 16.5 points per model. Sorry, no, you're looking at 33 points per model for a Proteus kill team. I'm not sure about this one. This might be a little bit too much, but you just give them all the expensive good stuff and then you go to town. We'll have to see. I am very keen to find out if that's good. The reason the Proteus kill team is like 33 points a model and that maybe isn't awful is because you can take three bikes, or I think it might be 2 bikes, 3 Terminators. So you can really bulk out that squad with more expensive models and then also take the good war gear. How much experience have you got with Deathwatch, Davey?
I played them a couple of times, and you know, when it was the classic 9th edition where you just stand there just being confused.
They do have a lot of rules. Were you playing against the kill team Army of Renown?
Yeah.
That thing was fantastic. My brother played that a few times. It was the first time I experienced it. He charged me from like 25 inches away or something. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was playing Nids, so he made the charge, and then I was like, that really sucked. And then I blapped him.
And then you overrun.
Yeah. This was
charge
release.
him in your turn.
Yeah, this was release. Nids. Drakari. What do we got? Who is good in here? Drazar. He's pretty good, and he goes with Incubi. And you take 1 squad of Incubi in total, because if he's not in them, you're really sad. Cool. 190 points for that little melee beat stick. That's not awful. Let's have a look here. Talus at 90 points. I don't hate that. They do. So they've got, you can give them a tail weapon. They're pretty good in combat. You can give them a tail weapon, which is 2 shots, hitting on 4s, but it is twin link, devastating wounds, anti-vehicle 4+. So any hits you get, you're fairly likely to get the mortal wounds through into a vehicle, and then you're still like a bit of a beefy boy. You've got to feel the pain. You hit reasonably hard in combat. I think there is a world that you see 6 of these. I don't know if it is the current world that we're living in, but once we're out of Clown World and mortal wounds go away, that'll be good. Mandrakes, great unit, little skirmishing unit. They're really annoying through 8th and 9th. They're going to be really annoying in 10th. They do mortal wounds with their shooting as well. Just a nice little added bonus there. What else have we got? Racks are cheap, but I don't think they're good. The Succubus is just not anymore. Raiders and Ravagers. Oh boy. They're so goddamn cheap. Why is a Ravager 95 points? Like, Jesus Christ. That's the 3-gun version of the Raider, by the way, with no transport.
That's
so
horrendous, isn't it?
The way that Drakari are going to be a shooting army, basically, which is kind of sad. Weird. But their bonus that they get from their faction, Power from Pain, you can spend points, pain points that you will have plenty of, and they will get full rerolls to hit. And the way that transports work, the models inside, when they shoot, they counter shooting as the transport. So basically, your Raiders and your Ravagers, you're going to spend all your pain power points. You're going to reroll all your hits. You're going to just put like a load of Dark Light down range, and you're going to pick up stuff quite efficiently. I think it's going to be mind-numbingly boring to play.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be rough, man, and it's rough for them as well, right? They don't want to be.
Yeah,
They don't want to be
that's
standing at the
not
back
why
shooting
people
you.
play Drakari, for just
No.
like gunboats. Kronos at 50 points is kind of cool. That gives you more power from pain tokens. You're just going to sit one behind a bit of terrain and just farm those points. Yeah. I don't know. Drakari looking pretty okay. Court of the Archon, I'm told, is a definite possibility for putting on the table to keep your Archon alive, so he can vector your opponent's stratagems on turn
And defend your Raiders.
Yeah, they're quite hard to kill. Not like for the melee output, just in terms of they have probably the best chance out of everything that the Archon can go in at surviving the non-line of sight shooting. So, you know, that's the decisions we got to make at the moment. I do like the idea of just running 6 Talos, 6 Kronos. Kronos are super cheap, 300 points for 6. They're kind of dog shit. Like, they have some okay shooting, but like no melee threat. But they are beefy. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. We'll see how they play.
They've got a feel no pain as well, right?
They do have a feel no pain, yeah. Gene Stealers. So, Aberrant, they're 30 points, 33 points a model. They're really fucking good. Patriarch,
That's
85
strong.
points, and joining the Patriarch. That's really fucking good. Sorry, you were saying?
No, that's strong. 33 points for the Aberrants after that conversation you and Tom had yesterday.
Yeah. Kellamore, 55 points. He's dog shit. Never mind. Neophyte, 8 points a model.
He had 9th edition, didn't he?
I was kind of wondering how much these were going to cost in a world where you can bring back your entire army over and over and over again. Turns out just like the same as they were costing already. So
yeah, these are the same as Gaunts.
160 points for a squad of 20 models with all of the guns. Oh boy. Transports are kind of pricey. I'm not loving 110 points for the basic transport and then 155 for the gun wagon. It's fine, but it's not exciting. The bikes are 80 points for 5. That's very, very acceptable.
Yeah, especially when they do all those mortal wounds when they drive past things.
I know, yeah. You could do it 3 times, which is very funny. Yeah. No, I think everything here looks really good. This might be a good counter to the non-line of sight, just because it doesn't matter if you chip them away. They just come back.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think you need to be very aggressive and get the board space against them. All wall gear is free for even more valuable on them. Yeah, no, they're looking very good there. I think they're looking very interesting, and we're going to see some people playing them. It might take 6 months for people to pick them up and play them correctly, but yeah, when they do, they're going to be a little scary. They are going to be exhausting to play though, so that's the saving grace. How are we looking for Grey Knights? So let's start with strikes, because they're basically Marines, but with better weapons, better buffs, and a 2-up armor save. So that's like a great suite of abilities to have. Strike squad. Where are you at?
At the end, yeah.
27 points a model. That's kind of pricey. How are we looking on the Terminators? 45 points a model. It's kind of pricey. Drago's not bad for a buffing character. Oh no, Nemesis Dread Knight's 215 points.
That's a lot, man.
They're pretty squishy. They advance and charge, which is cool. So I was kind of thinking you'd see 3 of them at like 160 or something, maybe 175. 215. You
can have the Grandmaster for 30 points more.
Redeemer 290 points. God damn! I hope that's not standard. That's very expensive. Yeah, the Grandmaster doesn't advance and charge, which is frustrating. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Quite expensive. Yeah,
it does seem expensive. Maybe the buffs on their data sheet are good enough to see them through.
Sure.
Yeah, I really like the rules that Grey Knights have. I think they're going to struggle into higher toughness stuff, but I think they've got a good toolbox, and I like the basic models, and I think they look fantastic as well. I've got a load of Grey Knights. I'm going to let other people experiment with these to find out what works, because there's kind of just a lot of like, I'm not super jazzed seeing these. Hopefully that's indicative of Space Marine points. Spoiler, it's not.
It's not.
Imperial Knights, we are seeing the mirror here of Chaos Knights. Interesting. The Helverin is 145 instead of 135, and the Warglaive is 140 instead of 135 for the Stalker. So they're a little more expensive. They are better here because they get buffs, the Bondsman buffs from these models here. The Castellan is 495 and the Valiant is 490. Those feel, I feel very good about the big Dominus class knights being under 500 points.
Yeah.
They're paying for the Castellan sins of 8th edition all the way through 9th, because that thing was seen in every army. 400 odd points for all of the big knights, some under. That feels good. The Warden is 420, which is a shame because it is the one that I like the most. It gives -1 damage to itself and other armigers, and it has devastating wounds against infantry. That's great.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen a Preceptor before.
Preceptor, that is the Canis Rex model, but just not Canis Rex.
Oh, okay.
So it's the Las Impulsor. Existence says Knights needed to be cheaper. Around 400 feels a lot better than around 500. I absolutely agree. I have a Chaos Knights army. I ran mostly War Dogs. I enjoyed it, but I would like to see more of the big boys on the board. Especially the Megara. Give me the goddamn rules. I want my sustained hits 2 and some way to buff up the critical hits to 5. God damn it, Games Workshop. Just let me roll 300 dice. Like, Monkey Brain, very simple. I just want to roll loads of dice. Their enhancements pretty in line with the Chaos ones. A little cheaper at the bottom end, I think, but not too far off. I think Knight players of both sides can be pretty happy here.
Yeah, I think so. Right?
Once Space Marine, because we're assuming that Space Marines and Eldar gets fixed somehow. Once they get fixed, I think this looks good. Before then, you're getting tabled in 2 turns. Canis Rex is super cheap. Let's have a look at him. 405 points. He is pretty cheap. That's not bad. So he doesn't buff anyone else, Davey. But what he does is he gets like insane sustained hits on 5s, and he reroll 1s to hit because of just the faction rules. So he's just like super efficient. He's just someone that you take because you want to kill some shit. I don't know if he sees play purely because you really want to take things with bondsman abilities to buff, or you take like the big ones that give cover to the smaller ones. But I don't know. When they previewed his data sheet, I was super jazzed by him. Like, he's a great model. And then when he dies, he gets out. It's cool.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he gets out. Yeah, I've seen that. That's cool.
All right.
Here we go.
Bhutan. How are we looking? 13.5 points for Halfkin Warriors. It's fine, but it's not. They want to be a horde army. Maybe that's right. I think they're T5 and a 4-up save. Maybe 13 to 14 points is about right. This is including the model, the weapons, so you can load them up with weapons. That's fine. The Land Fortress at 245. That feels okay. I'm not like super jazzed by it. It went up to 300 and something last edition, but it did get some bonkers rules. Pioneers at 35 points a model. I think still taking
same as before.
Good. Hearthguard, 33 points a model for like the Terminator equivalent. I don't hate that at all. Champion at 75 points. That's so expensive compared to a Carl at 90. I think you just take the Carl. Berserks, they're now 27 points. They kept creeping up every goddamn FAQ.
Yeah.
I don't think this is good, but I think it has room to be made good because they're going to be doing points tweaks every 3 months. I think the army rules are a very disappointing anti-synergistic mess, but I don't think they're necessarily bad rules, and I think they might feel okay to play once you kind of come to terms with things not lining up the way that you'd expect them to. There's some good stuff in here, like 95 points for the Thunderkin. They have weapons that get D3 sustained hits on a 4+ if you're over 12 inches away, and you kind of want to just pop them out of strat reserve, and you can do that with all 3 squads of them, and it doesn't take a strat to do that. Like this hit, like I really like this squad. I'm not upset at that. It feels like they're waiting for a second release. I have heard they're meant to be getting a second release with their codex. So that would hopefully open up the the codex a little bit, because it feels like they're missing quite a lot.
Yeah, it's a very limited range, right? They can't affect. They haven't got the tools to affect every occasion board state kind of thing.
Yeah, they're missing a lot of niches in their list.
Yeah.
Like we saw the kill team has got a dwarf with the jump pack. I want to see more dwarfs with jump pack. It looks fantastic. So maybe that fills a niche here, and you have like a fast sort of skirmishing squad. That would be really nice for this army, so you can play the mission a bit more. Sagittara at 120 points. I quite like that. I don't know. It doesn't feel like you necessarily get quite enough for your buck, but also I don't feel like they're super far away from being half decent.
It's more than a rhino. Is it much better than a rhino? Realistic?
It lets you combat squad, and it has better guns, and it lets you disembark after advancing. So there's quite a lot there to play with.
Yeah.
You are right. It is 40 points more than a rhino. Is it 40 points better than a rhino? Probably, but I think a rhino is overpriced at 80 points. I'd like to see, like, when you compare them to like an orc truck, I'd like to see them cheaper. The enhancements are pretty reasonably costed as well. Yeah, I'm not super down on leagues. I hope they're good. I've got some in a box. I would like to play them at some point. Hearthguard are super cool models. Until you see them, you don't appreciate how tiny they are, and they're so cute. Yeah, no, I want leagues to be good, but not oppressively good the way that they were when they came out. So watch this space, I guess. Necrons. We have got some Necron enjoyers in our team, and they have been very happy. And I've got to admit, I haven't had time to look through these guys in depth, but there is quite a lot of stuff in here that I really enjoy. We're assuming that the Catan don't get to take enhancements. That's just like, that's Clown World. We're not doing that. That's going to get fixed. Maybe it's already been fixed. I haven't looked. So, what do we got? Destroyers. 3 destroyers here. Coming in at about 37 points for the Ophidian destroyers. They're fast. That's maybe okay. And the Scorpec destroyers, they're coming in at a very similar price point. I'm not upset about that one. These guys have a once per game per 3 models. So if you've got a squad of 6, you can do it twice per game. Basically, you pop it, and for that fight phase, they get devastating wounds. Pretty solid.
Yeah.
What I will say is you don't really want to put a lord in these squads. It's got to be the Scorpec Lord, and he gives them lethal hits, which kind of counteracts the devastating wounds. He's quite expensive for what you get. Let me just find him 115 points. I don't love that. That's 3 Scorpecs. He gives them lethal hits, which is a little anti-synergistic, so we'll not count that as a plus. He gives them +1 a hit from the detachment rule, and he lets them use strats more efficiently. I'd rather take the Catacomb Command Barge, which is, let me just find it here, 150 points. That's not too bad. You give it the enhancement for a 5-up Feel No Pain, which is the 10-point upgrade there. So 160 points. You just fly it around, and you... Oh, no, you've got to give it the Sovereign Coronal, sorry. So it's 180 points, and then it's an aura of your units count as if they have a character in them to get the buffs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a castle playstyle, then.
Well, you probably want to send them forwards, but then you've got, let's have a look at the regular destroyers, Lockhurst, they call them. They are 30 points a model. I do not hate that.
Is that the ones with the big guns, right?
That's the ones with the mid-sized guns, the floaty boys. The heavy destroyers are 45 points. That's pretty good. You probably leave these guys on their own and just have like them as a 1 or 2 man unit as fire support. They're not bad guns. You probably don't give them characters, so this is maybe where you want to have the aura of buffing them. But this squad here, 180 points for 6. That's about what they've cost through 8th and 9th edition. You've kind of seen them on the fringes of play. Through 8th and 9th edition, you can get them full rerolls to wound now for 1 CP. I think they look really good. They're going to hit on 2s. If it's the closest model, they'll hit on 2s rerolling 1s. You can give the Veil of Darkness to the Lord leading the squad, so you can get them where you want them to go. I think there's a lot of stuff to be really excited about in Necrons. Big Beastie Boys at sort of like 255 to 270 points. Remains to be seen. That feels like a pretty decent price point to put them at. Obviously, mortal wounds, yada, yada, yada. We're going to get past that. I'm disappointed about the big Lord of Wars being above 400 points. 425 for the Tesseract Vault is probably fine. Where's the Monolith? Let's have a look here. Obelisk is 325, but it is kind of dog shit. Monolith.
It's up there. It's above it. 385.
Okay. I was initially kind of bummed by that, but the more we've looked at, maybe it's actually kind of okay. It's not too bad. Yeah, I like Necron. I think there's a lot to be excited about in Necrons. I have about 5,000 points of Necrons. Most of it's painted. So this is one that I could pretty easily bust out. I don't have a lot of the 9th edition stuff. So I don't have the Silent King, who now has indirect fire because reasons. He has 470 points, though. I don't know that you see play. Tomb Blades look real fucking good, though. Like, just the flying bikes have got really cheap, I guess, to account for the fact that you no longer fly over terrain and ignore its existence. So, yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot to be excited about as Necrons. And it's been a long time since I've been excited about anything for Necrons. So, yeah, it's cool.
They had a rough 9th, man, with that playstyle.
They had good showings, but they were so boring.
Yeah,
like, it was just not fun to me. Orcs got kind of expensive.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not loving that. They did get tankier, but then like Killer Cans, 50 points a model. That ain't it.
Woof.
They were 35 points in 9th. And you still didn't see them for most of
Have
it.
they still got that crazy leadership where if they lose one model, it's game over?
No, they're now just OC, not OC. They're now just leadership 8.
7. 8.
8, which is bad, but you don't just lose the whole squad. Yeah, I don't know. There's some stuff in here. I'm not like jazzed about the points. It's kind of whatever. Meganobs, they're not too shabby. You can take 6 for 200 points. That's okay. You feel okay about that. They're a good unit. Mech guns at 45 points. I highlighted this because you can take the one, I think it's a tractor cannon. It's anti-fly 2+ and devastating wounds, and like D6 + 1 damage or something. So if you see a lot of units with fly in the meta that stand out in the open, this is going to be fucking cash money. Hit me with 3 squads of 2 of those for 270 points to start my army. Yeah, it's not bad. There's some fun stuff in here. Badrock is quite expensive at 95 points, but he does give full rerolls to hit for the freebooters who
95
are
isn't that much,
flash
man.
kits.
Surely.
Sure, but keep in mind they're not independent. They're not buffing a whole thing around them. They're just buffing one squad. I'd think of characters as like glorified sergeants, and he's a very good model, but he like doubles the cost of 5 flash kits. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's I think they're fine. I don't think they're super. I'm not super jazzed about them, I will say.
Warbikers, 25 points a model. Are they?
Yeah, that's where they were in 8th edition, 9th edition. Sorry.
No one played them.
Well, they were seen at some points. I ran some at a couple of events when I was playing the Army of Renown instead of playing freebooters. They're pretty okay. They're fine. 25 points a model is about right for them, even without layering all the buffs on it. I don't know. I don't have strong feelings on orcs. They're on these orc points anyway. Space Marines. I don't
get comfortable, guys.
Talking about Space Marines. No, I don't want to take ages on it. It's just depressing. There's a lot of very good stuff in here. 22 points a model for heavy intercessors is pretty wild.
That's what it was in. What was it in? It was 25. Was it in? 9th?
I feel like it was more than that, but Gravis is now like -1. I don't know. Like you can just go through here, and because you know that they're good, you kind of look at things. You're like, ugh, really? Come on, Games Workshop. 18 points a model for Incursors, Infernus 18 points, Infiltrators are 18 points, Intercessors are 19 points. The weird point where the basic battle line troop is more expensive than the specialized ones. I don't like that. I think that's bizarre. Just write better rules for these ones if you think that they're too expensive at their price point. Retributions and Sisters for 130. Desolation. Yeah, so Desolation Marines, they're the big one. They're the one that you need to look at. These were play tested at 25 points a model, and then they've got cheaper. That's not good. They're just, the game's going to be fucking miserable because I think you genuinely probably only need to take 1 brick of these, and you take the buffing character that gives them the Vault of Discipline. I think it's either sustained or lethal. It's on a 5+, yada, yada, yada. You can do just stupid shit with them. Again, it's been so long since I looked at this index because it was now last week and I've been looking at them every night. But there is combinations on here that just unbelievably oppressive, and it's going to be very unfun to play against. You can play Beer and Pretzels Hammer with your friends and play Space Marines and not wipe them off the board. That's fine. I'm talking about at the competitive level, it's going to be really oppressive. I think that army rule, where you pick, and I'm talking about army rule, not detachment rule. This isn't going away. This is every flavor of Space Marines you're playing against. You are getting full rerolls to hit and wound on a single high value squad, and you don't even have to be able to see it because the Desolation Marines are going to pick it up. It's very frustrating. I don't want this to be a thing. In the same way that I don't want decannons and the Wraith Knights decannons to be a thing. I want them to get rid of the silly bullshit, and we can go back to playing the game in the same way. And then I can start whinging about how they made melee a lot less fun. If that was at the top of my list of complaints, I'd be really pleased. I'd be saying, a lot of things you've done are good, but the change in melee from 9th to 10th is really, it feels kind of shit. But we're not going to talk about that because we're not going to get to melee because we're just going to wipe each other off the board in 2 turns. You can just make really efficient stat checklists in the way that it was unfun to play against Marines at the end of 8th edition when they suddenly it used to be that people relied on minuses to hit because rerolls to hit you didn't reroll dice that should have been a hit but that were modified to a miss. So if you were hitting on 3s but you had -2 to hit and you had full rerolls to hit, you'd reroll 1s and 2s, you wouldn't reroll 3s and 4s. That's a stupid rule. However, it kept the efficiency quite low. So when Space Marines brought out auras of full rerolls to hit on everything with the Chapter Master aura, which was bonkers good, suddenly things that should have been able to play the game were not able to play the game. If you had models in line of sight, which was everything in 8th edition because there was no real terrain, things just died. And it kind of feels like we've gone back to that. And it's a problem when Harlequins did it in 9th edition, and they had about a month and a half of unbelievably broken Star Weavers, and they just tabled people, and it was miserable. Everyone has a Space Marine army. This is not good for the game. I don't want to play a game where if you go to a tournament and you don't play against any Space Marine players, you have a good time, or Eldar players, you have a good time. But then you play like 3 Space Marine players and an Eldar player, and you go 0-4 because you've brought orcs, and you've built a pretty good orc list, but the things that you played against are just gone. Yeah, I don't actually care about playing the game meaningfully. I just ignore line of sight. I ignore general efficiency rules. Sorry, you're tabled. It's frustrating.
Someone clipped that and sent it to GW. That was heartfelt, man, and I feel
the playtesters have been telling them that.
Really,
I tell you what, here is a heartfelt message. For the love of God, hire someone who understands statistics. There is no way that in your entire team of rules writers, you don't have anyone who understands maths to the point where they can look at the rules you're writing and understand that you are pointing incorrectly. It has to be, in my opinion, some sort of ego thing by whoever's leading the direction on it. Maybe not the person in charge. Maybe it's someone who's directing the team. Maybe you've got people stepping on your shoulders from up above. It feels like the same things go wrong time after time in a way that anyone should be able to learn from. So it feels like there's obviously something else happening here, and it's very frustrating to see. And I am a Games Workshop apologist. I played the game from when I was 8, 21 years ago, and I took a big break in the middle. And the experience of playing the game back then very much felt like you'd rock up as a 12-year-old kid with some money to buy some paints, and you'd go in and they'd be like, the prices went up, fuck off. It's an exaggeration, but that was kind of how it felt. You were being treated by the company at some points. And then I've come back and they're listening and they're bringing out new rules and they're tweaking things. And I think the way they're approaching how they're interacting with their customers, the way that they're balancing the game is fantastic. It's really great. I'm a huge fan of the way the Games Workshop does things. But it's just the same mistakes that are made over and over and over and over again. And I don't understand how this keeps happening in a game-breaking way.
I mean, dude, like if you look at Magic the Gathering, it's the same shit, right? There's always a broken card. There's always calls for ban this, ban that, ban this. And I think if it was just GW, you could say it's incompetence. But if it was the fact that it's, it's probably, I'm going to say it's probably Pokemon. It's probably all these other games as well. And when they're all doing it, there's probably a reason, right?
So with, I don't know if that's a good example for using Magic the Gathering, because they definitely are either incompetent and or evil. Wizards of the Coast, I fucking see you. You're a bad company. Stay the fuck out of my neighborhood. Yeah. No, like this is, but it's the
League
same
of
shit.
Legends, League of Legends, something will be broken. It'll be, you
They're
know what
pretty
I mean?
good.
Like
They're
it's
pretty good at fixing things. Like their game is like reasonably well balanced. There are things that are bad, but the top end, things get stale. But yeah, it's, I don't know. Obviously, there is always going to be variance, but
Mm.
what they've done is they've printed rules that are obviously like there is no, you'd have to fundamentally not understand maths to print devastating wounds and then allow it access to fate dice and rerolls. And I don't think we've seen any. Oh no, of course we have anti. Like all of these things just make mortal wounds too good. I don't understand how it's not been caught before it goes out. And then the playtesters tell them about it and they still print it. So I don't understand.
ah man, it's probably some kind of ego. Like let's be fair. Are the rules writers and people who are really getting into this, are they competitive players? No, they're beer and pretzel players. So they're just like, oh yeah, these rules are really cool. And you know, they might interact with you. Send it to the playtest. The playtesters come back and say, yeah, this is broken. It's like, yeah, I really like it though, so we'll keep it in, yeah. And
That's not that's not good logic for a company that makes
no,
so much
you're
money.
right. It's not good logic, but as you said
Yeah.
before, it's an ego trip, right?
Yeah. I'm not. No, I'm not going to say that. Let's just move on.
No,
I,
all right.
te-
You're gonna say all of this and then stop right there. Come on.
no, because I was going to say something that is uncharitable.
Okay, fair.
Space Marines are just really good. I'm going to highlight one unit because it's funny as fuck. Tyrannic War Veterans. This is a bad unit unless you're playing against war.
So you're playing
If you're
against
playing
Tyranids,
against
right?
Tyranids every fucking week, this is hilarious. Just put 3 and a 5 in your squads and go wild. Cool. Space Wolves. They've got slightly cheaper Terminators. Their Thunderwolf Cavalry can get mortal wounds on the charge from Harold Deathwolf. Hansa Morkai can do mortal wounds against Psychers. Yeah. The only really exciting things in here for me are the Dreadnoughts, but then they made them OC 0, so I had a breakdown about that as well. That's disappointing. Yeah, yeah. Like some of the stuff in here is pointed appropriately. You might take Space Wolves as a faction, and you just don't take their detachment. That's the.
Yeah, that's. I think having spoken to someone yesterday who's a big Space Wolves guy, I was thinking that potentially they don't take their Space Wolves units, which is a real sad thing because not all of them are amazing, but they still have so many units that are really strong and really powerful.
Yeah, so they don't take the detachment, but they take the units. You mean?
Yeah, yeah, exactly what you're saying. Yeah, I'm just agreeing with
Yeah,
you. Really, it's just like, you know, they'll probably put in squads of Desolation Marines because that's
yeah,
the thing. If you're a Space Wolves player, you've already got all your units. So if they make those units shit, then they can start to put in these new units.
yeah. And I had a rant about that as well. Wolfen, they've just been squatted. They're now 20 points a model. I don't care. Like, you'd have to make them something ludicrous like 75 points or maybe even cheaper for me to want to play these guys.
Yeah.
Just that the heirloom weapons that they've given to.
Oh, I'd have thought while you were ranting before. Remember we are talking about Black Templars and
Yeah,
the Primaris guys, Primaris
yeah.
Sword Brethren, 150
Good shout.
points,
Good
and
shout.
the Blade Guard are 100. It's
For
50
3.
points more. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is for 3, and
Oh, is
the
it for
Black
5
Templars
then?
are 5. So they're
Ah,
slightly cheaper.
nice,
150
nice.
points. So you're looking at 30 points versus
30,
what's that? 33.
33, yeah.
It's comparable. You can take a bigger squad though, so that's kind of their niche.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they don't have an invuln, but they have a bit more variety in there. I don't know. I really like the Black Templar. So, brethren, Tau Empire. What do we got? I have not looked at these at all, other than to highlight them. So I know broadsides are super expensive. This is too much for what they are. That's the same as like a cheap tank from another faction. It's not good. Breaches are 11.5 points a model. That's pretty good. Breaches
Yeah.
have had a glow up. They've got a native 3 ballistic skill, so they'll be hitting on 2s if you do the guided bullshit. I don't like the way that Tau Empire plays, so I don't have a huge amount of interest in the models at the moment, but I'm interested to see what the detachments are. Ghost Killer, no way is the Ghost Killer 170. You are taking
Yeah,
the
man.
piss. Oh,
That was
that's
almost
so
looking
many
good there as well,
points.
wasn't it? I seen the rolls.
Yeah,
I was like, that looks all right. Yeah,
I'd pick that. I'd pick it up at 130. Breaches
yeah.
went up 30%. Really? They
Riptide
were like
worth it at
what, 8 points
235.
before. No, the Riptide. Well, maybe because I don't know what else you have. It does mortal wounds on one of its guns, but it's lost a lot of its versatility. It used to fire and fade or have a field of pain. It hasn't gone up in toughness the same way that a lot of other things have. So it has gone up, but it's not gone up meaningfully. Yeah, Calmar, it was 170 before, and it was also something that I considered running but didn't because of points. 130, 140, I think would be quite interesting. Crisis suits. Oh, that's expensive. I know they're expensive at the end of 9th, but like all of the efficiency boosts that they can get have gone away, or a lot of them have gone away. I guess you can tool them up to have 3 of the same gun now more cheaply. Because what are we looking at there? They're less than 70 points a model, 65 points a model. That's not too much, but I don't love it.
How is this fortification? Is it any good?
Yeah, so it's devastating wounds, strength 12, AP 4, D6 plus 6 damage. It only hits on 5s. It only hits on 5s, and it doesn't have the army rule, so you can't improve that.
So you can't improve it.
Yeah, or it says crisis are not expensive. They're half the cost of knife. They're not half the cost of knife. Like my crisis suits only ever cost 70 points a model. I know you can take drones. Cole, the commanders are not.
Yeah, just play better. Hide them behind terrain, right?
The commanders are about. They are cheaper, to be fair, because a Cold Star I was typically running at about 105, 185, 190 points. So that is cheaper. Okay. They're not battle line though, so you can only ever take 3 squads, which kind of sucks. Maybe we see a Farsight detachment that gives them battle line. At that point, that's not bad. Galmaris is saying the battle line. Is that true? I was so certain they weren't. That was one of the reasons I was really down on crisis suits. Is this one alphabetical, or is this not alphabetical? Commanders. Oh, it's not alphabetical. All right. I wish they were just consistent with whether things were alphabetical or not. That would have made my life easier. Crisis suits. They are. No, they're not battle line. They're battle suits, but they're not battle line. Save a lot. Oh, okay. You were saying yes, that's something else. Okay. Yeah. If they become battle line, I think there's something interesting you can do with them here. Tanks are quite expensive. 235 points feels bad for the modern Riptide. How much is a Hammerhead now?
170.
Oh God,
no, that's long
so
strike.
many.
Sorry, that's long strike. That's
okay, I was fucking hell. 145.
145.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's it's pretty comparable to a Fire Prism. Fire Prism's I think 125 or something, but that's Clown World. Piranha's at 55 points. I kind of like. I think they might actually be cheaper currently, but no worries. You just take all of the upgrades and then you go cool. Pew pew. Yeah, there's stuff to play with here. I'm not writing them off. Sunshock Bomber. Oh, what did they do to my baby boy? I never looked at the bomber. Or maybe I did, and I have just blanked it out.
Blanked out your memory, yeah. It was too hard.
I don't remember looking at it at all. Let's feast our peepers. Sunshock Bomber. It has got twin missile, 2 seeker missiles, 2 twin ion, armored hull. So twin ion it's the same profile, but you get twin linked instead of double the shots. So you're getting 6 shots at strength 8, AP 2 damage, and then you're getting 2 shots at strength 7, AP 1 2 damage, but twin linked at 150 points. I don't know if I hate that. Does this have the mark like keyword? It should do, because it's got one right
8 shots in total. Reroll wounds.
8 shots with reroll wounds at like strength 7 or 8 with damage 2, but it also has 2 seeker missiles, which are strength 14, AP 3, D6 plus 1 damage.
D6 plus 1. Why have they done this?
It's mobile firepower.
Yeah.
And Tau is a faction that really likes that. It's also a faction that doesn't mind leaving their stuff in reserve until turn 2 or 3, because you're not getting your carry-on exploding hits until then. Sunshock Bonema, that got me kind of feeling some kind of way, I don't hate that. Hazardous really sucks. The fact that you're rolling 2 dice, so you're on average taking what's that, 1 mortal wound. Okay, that's fine. The turn that you roll 2 1s, ain't good. T9, 12 wounds, 3 up safe. This is like weirdly tanky as well for a flyer. It's tankier than it used to be. You know what? Sunshock Bombers. I don't hate him. The army does very little in comparison to other armies. Yeah. The playstyle of Tau that I really love is very mobile, and it's not the playstyle that we've got at the moment. Maybe you can index heavily into Breaches and Devilfish. How much are Devilfish? 95 points. So you're looking at 210 points for a Breacher plus Devilfish. Ugh. That is giving you the Seeker Observer, the Guided Observer combo. I don't know. Oh, I missed some chat. It says plane's not good, no hover, can't pivot before it moves, hard to land anything. I think that's fine. I think you deep strike it in on turn 3 and you just treat it as a one shot gonna blow something up. I'd have to run some numbers on that. That was kind of how I was using them anyway. They weren't typically surviving long when they came down, so yeah, I don't know. Storm Surge. People are pretty hot on the Storm Surge as well. Let's have a quick look at that one and then we'll move on because we have been here for quite a while. Storm Surge, right. 405 points. It has got a Pulse Blast Cannon or a Pulse Driver Cannon. What does that do? Driver is 6 shots, 10-4 or 24-6-12. Heavy, so you're hitting on 3s. You can't. You can reroll hits against Titanic or Towering. That's kind of good here because you're expecting Eldar to take them, but it's not good in general. Ignore modifiers. What is the driver cannon? 12-3-3, D6-3. It's fine. I'm always leery about a super heavy that can only act in one phase if it's not a melee as well. If you put the breaches in, you'd want a Fireblade too, which is another 50 points. Wouldn't go Fireblade, just get another unit of breaches, towering. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see with Tau. The game's going to be so different in 3 months when they fix everything, he says, hopefully. So, Thousand Suns. Zangors are 6.5 points a model. Oh, wow. No.
Wow.
Oh, God. Don't make me go back to playing loads of fucking Zangors.
That's Gaunt level.
Yeah, I had a lot of these fuckers.
What do they do? Now.
So cultists are quite fun for Thousand Suns. When they die, you get a CP on a 2+. Let's have a quick look at Zangors.
When Zangors die, you get a CP on a 2+.
No. That's cultists.
Still really strong.
Yeah, it's funny. And if they kill anything, you get a CP on a 2+, but that's not going to happen. So Zangors give you more cabal points if you're in range of objectives. Oh no. God damn it. I'm putting 3 units of this in my army. Why? I don't want to do it. All right. Before we move on from Tau, Galmaris, what do you got for me? What bullshit you got for me? Something funny. Look at the points for tactical drones. Are they free? I know you said in the chat that they were free. I did see that.
So look at points for tactical drones.
Tactical drones, 70 points, 140 points, 210 points. That's depressing. How much were they? So I legitimately ran tactical drones. Oh no. Oh, they've goofed here. That's going to get fixed. That's definitely going to get fixed. That is funny and also depressing. So for anyone who's not looking, it's 70 points for 4, 140 points for 8, 210 points for 12. That is a very clear error. We will not be seeing those. I legitimately did run a squad of 10 tac drones in 9th edition at one tournament, and they felt pretty okay. That's intercessor points. Yeah, that's pretty wild. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that's getting fixed because drones elsewhere don't cost anything as well. They're not going to be free for a squad, but yeah, cool. All right then. What do we got? Thousand Suns. We have got Magnus at 410. It's a bit on the beefy side for a super heavy, but he's pretty good. Mutal Vortex Beast. People are pretty hot on these. I don't love them, but 145 points feels fine. Helldrake is 195 points still. Meat and potatoes. Demon Princes, too expensive. Where's my fucking Terminators? Here we go. They're the standard price for Terminators, and they're better than Terminators. They're probably okay. Rubrics are less than 19 points a model each. It's not awful.
Yeah.
I think there's stuff to play with here.
Yeah. I've heard a few people say these are like dark horses, huh?
Yeah, there's some fun stuff you can do with them. I've seen quite a few people keen on them. There's a fun combo where you can take an allied knight and you run it with the double rapid fire battle cannon, which is like strength 9 AP1, flat 3 damage. The AP is bad, but you have a ludicrous amount of shots. I think it's 2d6 plus 6 per gun, so 4d6 plus 6 shots. And the fun thing is that you use the Thousand Suns Cabal, whatever you call it, ritual, and you remove a unit's armor saves. So it just doesn't get to make armor saves. You either have an invuln save or you just take damage. And then that profile looks real fucking good.
Yeah.
Even if you're winning on 5s, the volume of shots you have there is pretty tasty. So it's going to be interesting to see what the sorcerers cook up here. Defilers, I'm so glad they're 200 points. This is like super petty and selfish. I hate that model. 200 points feels way too high for it, so I don't think we'll see it.
Yeah.
The
model, it's just too big.
Yeah. Simon says, hopefully Forge World data cards and points are usable. Yeah, I know you're specifically saying that for a faction, but like in general, I hope they're good across the board. They just bring more variety. So we'll do World Eaters and then we'll finish on Tyranids because there's only one after it, so we may as well.
Cool.
The initial look at World Eaters I was pretty underwhelmed. Look at this, 60 points for a fucking Exalted 8-bound. That is so many points for a melee model that does nothing else.
Yeah. Is it Deep Strike still?
Yeah. Well, we can find out because the index is super short.
Jamie, bring it up.
Yeah. There's a goat that screams like a man. Jamie, bring that up. Not a fan of Joe Rogan on principle. He platforms some terrible people, so I feel bad for making that joke. Okay, Exalted 8-bound. They are good. Like they're fast. They're 9-inch move, T6, 3-up save is whatever. 3 wounds is kind of bad for the points. 5-up invuln. It's almost like they've gone your Custodes, but you're more expensive. They hit harder. They're less tanky. They've got a 6-up feel no pain. This is not a unit, in my opinion, that's worth 60 points a model. And the 8-bound, the normal 8-bound, are like 52 points a model. That's steep. That's so steep. Let's just have a quick look. Lord of Skulls is 420. That's quite funny. Where are the Khorne Berserkers? Oh, 23 points a model.
Really? They've not got gun. Well, they've got a bolt pistol, haven't they? I
don't feel good about World Eaters.
Oh, that's a shame for the minute.
We're going to get a little hot take summary after we finish the points. Yeah, Brett, that's a good shout. Let's do that. Let's go through Nids. Obviously, we've had quite a lot of time to look at Nids and think about them. I don't know if you want to go through line by line. I'm not sure.
No.
Yeah.
We don't want to kill everyone.
We can like I'm gonna whiz through and you stop me when there's something you want to talk about.
Go for it.
So Bob, going to 10 points per model. That's good. You're gonna take probably a couple of squads of these just to mess with your opponent outside of Clownland. Biovores at 40 points a model. They're going to be broken with spores, so they're good.
Yep.
Broodlord. I really like the Broodlord giving devastating wounds to the Gene Stealers with the rerolls.
So I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, but so you want to take 10 Gene Stealers, don't you? So that's 180.
You could put him in with 90. Honestly, you could have him as a skirmishing unit that kind of trades up quite well at 190. I know the full brick is very expensive. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, 190 points trading up with what? How many attacks do they have each? 4 times 5 is 20 plus the Broodlord. It's not.
Yeah, that's fair. They do reroll all their wounds, but you might be right. That might be too expensive.
I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna give the 10 block a go, and if potentially even like
it's a little bit of a shame that we can't do like in between squad sizes because like 7 or 8 Gene Stealers is probably enough to just like chuck at something. 18 points model
was in the box, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's very inconsistent, Games Workshop. Why have you done this to us?
Naughty Games
Yeah.
Workshop.
Card effects, 125 points model. I hate this. I hate
I
this so
hate them.
much.
I hate them so much.
I
But two
like
of them
this
with all
with
one eye,
one
maybe.
old one eye. Yeah, yeah, that's the one squad you're ever going to see. Where is old one eye? 140 points. Okay, he's cheap.
It's decent. Yeah,
In a
decent.
Monster
One of
Mash
them.
list, you're running like one not unkillable, but one like beefcake monster that's 390 points, and then you're running other stuff around it. Death Sleeper 80. It's
Amazing.
good.
So
Yeah,
good.
he's very good. Execrete at 135. Sorry, back to Death Sleeper, you were saying.
They've made the same mistake as Ninth. They've charged 5 points more than a Lictor, and it's miles better. It's got a +1 to its invuln.
It'll do the same then as it did in 9th edition. It'll go up loads.
Yeah, it'll go 120 points after 6 months.
Yeah, I did run him for a little while. He was quite fun. Execrete, 135 points. I like that at 135 points.
So I like it.
Yeah.
But I put units in my army to do a job. And this, I cannot rely on it to do a job because it has D6 plus 3 shots. And that's all it has.
Let's have a look. I'm just going to close down everything that isn't the stream and this thing because I've got like 37 different tabs open. Let's just close this shit down. Cool. So Execrete, finding page.
Because it's a massive model that does one thing: it shoots, and it has D6 plus 3 shots. So if you're going right, this needs to kill that unit of 5 things. You cannot rely on it to do it.
I don't think you expect it to kill everything, but I think that's a very good profile for what you want it to do. So this is not an anti-vehicle unit. This is an anti-terminator unit.
Yeah, it's an anti-elite. Yeah.
So it's 3s into 3s, which is pretty solid because it's getting, on average, 8.5 shots into a full brick. That's not bad. Like
8.5. It's D6 plus 3, not 6.
Yeah, but it's blast.
Oh, yeah, of course.
At a full size squad, you're getting 2 more shots. You're hitting on 2s if you stand still. You can also give other units reroll hits for rolls of 1. That actually kind of is good if you take a couple of these. Maybe you take the Tyrannofex, although you don't need hit rolls on the Flamer. If you take the Brick of Carnifexes, they have rerolls anyway. Okay, maybe actually because data sheet buff isn't very good. The gun's good though. I like that gun.
Yeah, and I think Bread's pulled out a really good point here. Is we'll get to it in a minute, but like the Haruspex is 10 points cheaper. Malicept is not too much more expensive, and does some real work as well.
Yeah. I guess the thing that lets it down is it doesn't have a defensive profile like the
others. It's gone to a 3-up armor, right?
Yeah. So the Maliceptor obviously has the infun. So yeah, no, that's fair. Like I think that doesn't feel bad at 135 points, but we're going to get to other things that maybe feel better. And
yeah,
I haven't looked at these apart from like 6 things, so I'm going to trust you on that.
No worries.
Gargoyles, 15 points a model. No, 7.5 points a model. Ooh.
Yeah.
Cheap.
Gargoyles are all right, man. I think you've got to put I think the mostly the playstyle of Nids is going to be keeping your stopping your opponent scoring while you score yours, right? And I think that Gargoyles have a really important part to play in that they will try and move block your opponent in. I think that's what they get used for because they're super fast and they can move up and just deny space, right? They've got no other use because their shooting's rubbish. They just will. They're your first wave, essentially, which is very thematic.
Galmara says, "How's the Nid book for anti-tank?" And Brad says, "Zoanthrope's the best anti-tank." So,
not true.
Well, just let's spoiler this a little bit. That's a really good profile that they have. It's a 30-point las cannon with flexibility for other things. They're 30 points a model. That's so fucking wild. That's so wild. Like that's such a good profile. That's something that I would take. Like that unit, I would take in my Eldar army if I could. Like that's how good they are.
I think one of the best anti-tank units is Hormagaunts.
For fuck's sake.
Because you have to take. So this is the thing, right? We struggle to kill tanks. Even on 12, right? That's one of the few things we have. They've got the flexibility there, which is great, and it'll do some stuff. The issue we have, and if you go and watch my video, you'll see, is we don't have a great deal of ranged shooting that's going to destroy a vehicle. We have a bit of melee that's going to maybe do some damage. But actually, if you're going to go up against a vehicle-heavy army, you want to take hyper aggression, so that 6 is to hit, auto wound.
Aren't they just like 1 damage and AP1?
Sure, but then most vehicles are 3 up armors, right? So they're going to go to 4 ups.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been on the receipt. You can't give them reroll hits anymore, can you? And you can't give them lethal hits on a 5.
You can give them the adrenal surge.
Okay, but you can't give them reroll hits.
No,
This is where we're diametrically opposed. Even in 9th, you really rate Hormiguns, and I think they are the worst thing to ever fucking grace the book, because people took them for so long, and I genuinely think that drove the win rate of Tyranids down after they got so many nerfs. I genuinely think that they were a dogshit unit.
Yeah, I don't think they're great, but I think that, you know, once Leviathan died on its hole, I was like, well, and Kraken disappeared.
Everyone was
like,
running them. I don't think you were wrong to run them, but I just think that fundamentally they don't do enough to be worthwhile. I think Nid players needed to go back to the drawing board and play something completely different. But I wasn't going to be the one doing the playtesting, so I'll shut my fucking mouth. I was playing other things.
Oh, wow. Big thank you to Brett for the super chat. Thank you so much, mate. That's awesome.
Oh, that's so cool.
I'll read it out. Shout out to you two for doing this for nearly 3 hours in this heat. I'm sweating my balls off here. Buy yourselves a beer each. Thank you very much, Brett.
That's so nice of you. That's the first super chat I think that I've had. I think we've had some on the 6+++ show, but that's super cool. Thank you so much, man.
So actually, Hormiguns, maybe I was a bit silly on Hormiguns. I was probably being a bit pedantic. Gene Stealers, probably one of the best anti-tank, because you get to reroll the wounds and you get the
yeah, but then you're wounding on 6s. I'm not sold on the Gribbly, like the little Gribbly stuff for killing tanks. I think Zone Tropes at that price are just so good. I know you don't have rerolls and you're wounding on 4s, but the volume of them you can realistically take, and they're kind of hard to hit back with conventional weapons, assuming that you're not going devastating wounds. They are only 3 wounds back again, but they do have the 4-up invuln, the T5. They're not super easy to kill. They can get cover. I think this is, as Goonhammer would say, they are priced to move. Is how I would put that.
Although I read on the Tyranid Discord that Trevi took 18 in a list in a game against, I think it was Knights maybe, and I think he was tabled by turn 3 or something. And maybe they were exaggerating, but they said it went really badly for him. Bless him.
Yeah, but was he playing against Space Marines?
No, I think Knights.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I believe so. I might be mistaken.
Big Knights are going to be wild to play against because you can't hide from them, which is terrifying.
Yeah, Steelers can go in the pod. Yeah, mate. Yeah, they can put. I think you put 20 in there actually.
Yeah. All right, let's
cool. Harpy.
Keep going. Harpy. I think I'm not sold on. The guns are worse. You now have twin links instead of double, so you've like halved your shots. The guns worse. I just don't think they're good.
Can drop spore mines so they can do actions, but I'm not a big fan of it. I'd rather do a Biovar.
Yeah. So they have the problem that all bombers have, in that you pivot after you've moved. You're never going to bomb a competent opponent on anything they truly care about. So yeah, that's just that. Harris Specs, 125 points.
That's my flavor of the day.
Yeah,
that's something I'm really into today, and I've got 2 on my list at the moment.
Nice. I haven't even started writing lists. I've been too busy prepping for this bullshit. I cannot wait to sit down on Saturday and just get going.
Yeah, I really like these, chucking them forward. If they're still within synapse, you can give them the 5 feel no pain on both of them if you wanted. One of the interesting things about Tyranids is all these monsters are not OC5, right? They're all OC3 or 4, generally speaking.
Okay.
So what does that mean? That means you sit on an objective.
Yeah.
And your opponent with their 5 model minimum squad unit will come and just take it off you, and you can't heroic into them.
Sure, because they did.
Every monster, in my eyes, has to have Gribblies associated with it to kind of keep the objective.
Okay.
So I think that a Harris Specs alongside some other stuff that can either protect it, maybe there's a Savage unit on one side of it that you don't want to get into it, so you can use Gribblies to block it off. So yeah, just an interesting thing with something like a Harris Specs. You wouldn't chuck it forward on its own.
Okay.
But you would put it through with something else to back it up.
Maybe that is cool. I really liked it last edition, and it kind of looks like they've just priced all the monsters super cheap again. Which everyone kind of slept on because all of the other stuff was really good. Leviathan was really good on launch. So as someone who loves big monsters, 125-point monster that's quite tanky, I'm a huge fan of. I'm a real fan of that.
Yeah.
Hive Crow
200 points. What a lot.
We don't need to talk about it. Hive Guard, 100 points for these. Their indirect is bad. Their line of sight shooting is okay, but it's AP1. I don't like the data sheet. How do you feel on these ones?
So the other gun, you talked about anti-tank, right?
Yeah, they've got the anti-tanks.
Anti-vehicle 2-up.
Yeah.
I don't know if you take it.
AP1.
But yeah, I mean, it's not ace, but
No.
you know, it's still paying for early 9th edition and 8th, right?
Yeah, the non-line of sight's like real fucking bad as well, isn't it? Let's just have a quick look here. Hive Guard. Impaler Cannon,
The
4
Impaler
shots,
Cannon, yes.
hitting on 5s, non-line of sight. Strength 5, AP1, 1 damage. Ugh.
Yeah, Jack's pulled up a great point there. Harris Bex is the same cost as the card effects. Which one would you rather have?
I'd rather have the card effects, but I wish it was good.
Yeah.
Oh, my poor Stumpy boys.
So
All right.
Hive Tyrants,
220.
really interesting.
That's not cheap.
It's not cheap, and so you got to right. So the argument is you want one of this or the Swarm Lord, right? Is what people tend to say.
I
Now,
wanted
Swarm
both,
Lord,
and then I saw the points.
Yeah, you want both ideally, but the
Yeah.
points are so mad because you have to. I think personally, you have to stick Hive Guard with this thing as well, right? You could give it adaptive biology, but you really want the
You want that somewhere else, I think.
But good friend of the show, Liam Warswick, did make an amazing point to me in that the efficiencies of the Hive Tyrant's better than the Vect of the Swarm Lord. So obviously, Swarm Lord will Vect an opponent's stratagem.
Yep.
Now, how many opponent stratagems are going to be one of those things where it's if you use a stratagem with this guy
we've
or whatever?
yet to see how this works. I think what's going to happen is you're going to go to 0 and then be increased by 1.
You reckon?
I don't know, but that is the general consensus from everyone I've kind of talked to about it. So,
well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Whereas the Hive Tyrant, so you're either getting a CP or you get a CP with the Swarm Lord as well.
Yes.
With the Hive Tyrant, you actually just get to use a stratagem on 2 units,
which is very good. I agree.
So good.
Even if the stratagem does go to 1 CP on the captain's unit to make it free, I think the efficiency is still better on the Hive Tyrant because they just stop using that strat if it's not, super worthwhile.
And it's 3. What is it? It's 30 points cheaper.
Yeah.
And it has a gun.
Yeah. No, I don't hate it at all. I think it's a super solid choice there.
But I am considering. I'm looking at a world where you don't take one.
Yeah. No, I think that's reasonable.
She's sad, but hey ho.
Yeah.
Hormigans, still
cheap.
like him. Sorry.
7 points. I think it's 7 points. I don't hate them. I just don't like them for anti-tank.
Yeah. I was being a bit pedantic there, but yeah, I think the GNC is a lot better.
Yeah.
Lictors, amazing, but try finding one. Literally, I don't mean like that's not a joke on the fact that they infiltrate, but I was thinking about taking one to this. I'm doing a GT in Barcelona in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
And they've told me I'm not allowed to bring any 3D printed units that are clones of something. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, how do I use pyrovores or lictors or?
I mean, pyrovores are monopose anyway, so you could do that. That wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. You haven't seen my crappy 3D printed ones.
Oh, that's fair.
Maliceptor 165. Decent.
Yeah. Just quickly, Reaper Flyrant lives in my heart forever. Yeah. I'm not sad that he's gone. He was such a crutch. Like just to briefly talk about him, he won me so many games because everyone else that I saw playing him at the start of the Nid book was using them just to go deep, and they took 2 Flyrants, and then they went and they killed loads of shit, and that was fine. I thought that was very inefficient, so what I did was I played a lot of Cagia, and I just like yo-yoed him out, and I treated him as a unit that was like had a 20-inch move basically, because you could overrun backwards into range of the Tyrant Guard, and he was basically a gun that would kill something and then come back.
Basically a gun, yeah, I like that.
He was basically a gun, but he also let you position for psychic interrogation or warp ritual. So he was a very, very strong tool. I'm very glad that he's gone. He says, Brad says, I killed a Disco Lord in a DP in the same charge fight once. He was not balanced. He was not. He was absolute bullshit. That sounds like you spiked pretty high there, but that was the sort of thing that could happen when you got extra attacks on the charge, mortal wounds on the charge, rerolling wounds on the charge. There was a lot of stuff you could stack on there. We had the CP to do it at that point. All right, Maliceptor 165. Okay, so that is 30 points more than the Exocrine, but it is way cheaper than it was. It's also way less bullshit.
So what it does is it's -1 to hit, and if the unit is damaged or under half strength, it's -1 to wound as well. So it's what you'll find is with Synapse as well, is
Yeah.
all these units benefit from being clumped up together.
Yeah. Okay.
Morlock, one of the things you'll see in the video is it has really strong conversion to armor saves.
Okay.
With a lot of attacks, reasonable strength, reasonable AP.
It's so much
So
worse than the Trigon, but it also is a chunk cheaper than it.
yeah, this is it. This is it. It's strange. It's strange.
Yeah. I'm a little upset that they took the rule that Morlock have had like since it came into the game, which is deep strike closer than it should, and then not be able to charge, and they gave it to the Trigon. I don't
Makes no
understand that,
sense.
but we'll move on. Mucilid
Makes no
Spores,
sense.
45 points. Get in the bin.
Yeah.
All
in the bin.
right.
So
No worries.
just to
You can
touch on this
store
and
them.
just to touch on those guys with the what you call it? Shit, the fortification. Spore assist. So the Spore assist can't produce normal spore mines anymore. It only produces Mucilid.
Yep.
Which sucks.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that out loud.
Yeah, that's fair. Brett says the Morlock's ability is dope. It looks dope on paper, because you do mortal wounds when you come in. In reality, it's not a 12-inch bubble; it's a 3-inch band because you've still got to come in 9 inches away from someone, and that doesn't actually math out as well as you want it to. It's because it's got such a big base, it's kind of hard to fit in. It's a fun rule, don't get me wrong, but I'm not sold on its efficiency. Neurogaunt's, they are
45 points is what they are.
45 points for 11 models. How much are the other gaunts in here? Terms of
60, 70.
Okay.
75
I
for the
think you
got.
still don't take them.
No.
90 points for 22. Are the
So
Mucilids that bad? All they do is they explode, so they're not worth 45.
yeah, they're not
points.
worth 45. I was Liam Warswick, friend of the show again. He's sent me his list and he's taking a big blob of them. I said, why? And he said, well, they are an endless regeneration unit. So if you want to use, if your opponent wants to out of line of sight shoot them, kill a bunch, you can then string them bad boys out to an objective.
Yep.
With endless regeneration, and because of the different abilities, you can end up getting like the 3d3 plus 6 or something.
The 10-man Hormagaunts that you were going to put on an objective and then die and then come back. Now you just take 22 Neurogaunts. I actually don't hate that, to be fair.
Yeah.
That is a great shout.
Very intelligent,
cheap.
105 is not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but what does it do?
It buffs the unit that it joins, so it can join some good units, right?
No. It does one thing that's amazing. It gives things synapse for until the end of the turn. And
that is true. That is quite nice. I don't know if you need it because you are now really fucking slow.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm not necessarily. I need to look at it. I've forgotten what it fucking does. It's been so long.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Neurotime is something at the top.
It's got a flamer, but you don't want it.
Have a nice.
You don't want it in line of sight of anything.
You don't want it in line of sight of anything. Yeah, 105 points. Maybe you take it because maybe you take it and you don't put it in anything, or you put it in that stupid Neurogaunt squad. You probably don't because you want to hide that behind a short wall. Because it buffs your shadow in the warp. So
yeah,
as like a back, it holds your backfield. It's not super vulnerable to non-line of sight shooting, and it gives you a once per game buff on your army rule.
Yeah.
So for 105 points, I don't hate that.
Yeah, I think I take it if I don't take a Hive Tyrant.
I don't think they really. I don't. Just mean because you free up some points. You mean?
Yeah, free up some points, and I think a normal Hive Tyrant with the Tyrant Guard will move forward. But if I had the Swarm Lord, I probably wouldn't take the Tyrant Guard. Swarm Lord, all of his things that he can do from behind a wall.
I think you still no. I think 250 points is too expensive to sit behind a wall. I think he has to go forwards, and if he dies, it sucks. Yeah.
And this is why I'm not the biggest fan. But the Neuro Tyrant can happily sit behind that wall and sit there all day, sitting on that objective. With a reasonable OC, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, it's 7, which with reroll is fine. Yeah, I think this is fine as like a home field camper, and I think in this meta it actually might be half decent. Old One Eye, 140 points. I think he's good. I'm just sad about Carnifexes. Parasite, 90 points. He's got so much worse. He does. He's not sign-ups. Just get out of here. Psychophage, 125 points. I think he's too swingy. I know he gives a feel of pain,
Yeah,
but I just don't
agree.
feel it. He needed to be like 85 points for what he does there.
Agree.
Pyrovore's back to 30 points,
I like him because it's twin linked,
but they're worse.
but they are a lot worse.
Yeah, this is a maybe. I don't know if they're worth the investment of the drop pod that you've been playing in 9th.
No, I think you start them on the battlefield.
Now that they have a 12-inch range gun and a 5-inch move, I struggle to see anywhere that I want to use those. Maybe you outflank them, but nah.
Yeah, I feel like they're kind of like, when you're fighting for the middle of the board and someone will say, right, well, I'll play 10-man guard unit. And then you say, well, I'll play 1 Pyrovore. Do you know what I mean? And you try and trump people off that way.
Sure.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's just not awesome.
Not a huge fan of it. What are we up to next?
Raveners.
They're only AP1, which is really sad because the warriors that are melee have AP2. They are twin linked. They have 7 attacks. They're a great skirmishing unit at 75 points.
So
however,
me, it's the unit rule here, the datasheet rule, where you get to move, you get to take them off the board.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So if you draw a card in this Tempest of War shit where being your opponent's deployment zone, sweet, sorted.
Brett
75
says,
points to do that's not too bad, I suppose.
With the keyword thing in the rules commentary, I think Psychophage's stock go up depending on how psychometric heavy is. You melt the attached unit. The problem is he doesn't melt the attached unit because he has random attacks. So like you send him into a psycho and you're like, holy shit, I get to use my rules, which are really beneficial. And then you roll a 1 on the attacks and you ram to CP because that's how 10th edition is going to work. And you go, I think he's too swingy. You could make
D6
him
plus 1 attack, right?
Yeah, I don't understand why he's got that. Like that's orcs are random rules. I don't like that. But yeah, no, Ravener's great skirmishing unit. I think that's a good shout there. I don't think you take them in more than 3s because there is a unit that does things way better that we'll get to not too far in the future. Ripper Swarms, cheap but dog shit. You don't take them. They're OP 0.
Yes, agree. The most efficient wounds per point unit in the game in our army.
That's fun. Shame they have OC 0. So you can't put those wounds anywhere you want. Screamer Killer, 180 points. That's so fucking steep.
What a shame. What a shame. Brand new unit. Looks amazing. Yeah.
Spore Mines, so expensive. Good job you're never paying the points for them because you're only spawning them.
No, we're not paying for the points for them yet. Give them time.
Yeah. I hope they fix that because it's so unfun to play against. Says someone who's abused it at multiple tournaments. Spore Assist, 145. You don't take them because he only spawns the Mucolids. Termagants, 6 points per. I think that's a good point for them.
Yeah, again, I like these similarly to Gargoyles. Get up the board and move block your opponent. There's no other use for them. Except for maybe if you have 20 in your respawn.
Yeah, sure. Tervagon, 200 points.
No.
Yeah. Because
you can target it.
225 points because it takes the adaptive biology. And that probably keeps it alive for long enough, but I don't feel like that's it because it's a lot. You look at it and say this is 225 points, and it is including the trait there.
Other units give better buffs as well.
Yeah. Swarmlord 250. Talked about it already. I agree. I think the Hive Tyrant's better, given the point. If they were the same points, I might be tempted to take the Swarmlord, but I don't think I like it more than for an extra 30 points. Toxic Green.
It's good, but you just can't take it.
It's also way too expensive. 200 points is just way more than
like.
So here, look, 200 points here. Harris specs, 125. I haven't looked in a little while, but I assume they have very similar defensive profiles.
Yeah,
because they're the same kit. What the fuck is going on here? That is 75 points of difference. Who wrote this book? Like, what are you doing?
People can't fall back from it.
Cool.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's not 200 points back.
No,
Trigon.
180 is a lot.
Yeah. If it was 145, the same as the Moloch, I'd actually quite like it. It's a lot of damage too. With it, like halfway.
It's damage 3 the Trigon.
No.
Yeah.
Is it 923? Strength 9 AP 3 damage.
Let me check.
Yeah,
no. Sure.
If that's true, that's still not good. But at the points, I think. I like it's great rules, but I think it's just too expensive.
Yeah, this is it. It's so expensive.
Trigon 923, 12 attacks. That is a lot of attacks.
It is. It man, it smashes.
Oh,
But
that's so good. Like that's such a good offensive profile. I almost feel like there's a way to fit it in.
then you bring it in, you ingress it in, right? And it's you hide it behind a building if you can. And then if you hide behind a building, it can't get around the building to do anything next turn. So you have to put it somewhat in line of sight. Then your opponent goes, "Oh, sweet, a model with a 3-up armor save that I can shoot."
If we had a melee meta, you'd ingress it in like 12 inches away, and then you'd move forwards 10 and you'd charge 2, and you feel good about that. We're not going to be in a melee meta. So
That's it. In a shooting matter, it's garbage.
you can
And
still
not garbage, but it's just
even when it's
struggles.
locked in combat. That's true, but I'm kind of not so bothered about that. It's kind of just something that you've got to deal with when you take big bugs, and you assume that if you're running it, you're taking multiple of them. So if they're shooting that, they're not shooting something you care about. So I'm not super bothered. Bottom of the page there. Warriors. We've got 2 sets of warriors here. How are you, before we talk about them, how are you feeling about warriors?
So the list I've wrote to start with, I think I'm going to struggle for synapse. And as a result, warriors have synapse,
Mm-hmm.
and I quite like that.
Yeah.
I don't like 90 points for 3 models because that's the same as 5 assault intercessors.
Yeah.
70 points on the shooting ones. I wonder why. It's because they're pretty garbage shooting stuff.
Despot is it 5-1-1 in the shooting, or is it
5-1-1.
5-2-1?
No, sorry. I think it's 3
shots.
3 shots at strength 5 minus 2 1 damage.
No, Despot is a 5-1-1. Okay.
1. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can take 2 venom cannons or like a venom cannon per D3. Like, I don't hate them at 70 points for 3. As you say, this is like to run the synapse extending. I think I don't hate them as a mid-sized bug. I don't think you ever take the melee ones, which is a shame. I think the range ones do have a bit of a place in terms of synapse and a bit of plinky fire.
So I just want them. I think I want them running up with a blob of attack. So Haruspex and some other bits running up the board to kind of keep it all together.
Yeah. And most people aren't going to go, oh, I should just kill the synapse. That'll help. Because honestly, I don't think killing the synapse helps enough. I think you just kill the big thing.
No, I think they've done really well with synapse. I love the fact that you just get better stratagems if you're within synapse. I think that's such a cool way of doing it.
Yeah. Cool. Tyrannocyte, 105 points for a drop pod. It's pretty good place to be. It's about
if I could make my charges easier.
Yeah. Now that the shooting is worse for Nids, that's kind of Tyrann effect 200. I still like it. This is what it is right now, or what it was. Something along those lines.
It was more expensive in 9th, actually, in the latest 9th.
It started off at 170, and I was running at 195 because I gave it the Dermic Symbiosis for the Invon, and that was really good. But now a couple of these with flamers in the midboard, if you're running Monster Mash, like 200 points is a lot. I will make space for it. I will play games with it, and I'll find out that it's not good, but I will make space for it.
It's on my considerations list, but at the moment I've got 2 Haruspecs instead.
Flamer midboard is good. Like, I think if you can fit 1 in, you're pretty happy about that. Tyrant Guard, they have got a lot cheaper.
Yeah, but the shit.
Are they?
Well, they're not good.
I mean, I'll be honest, buddy. I don't remember what they do.
It's nothing. They give a Hive Tyrant a 5 at Feel No Pain.
That's not super impressive. But you were taking them to keep your Tyrant alive before. They did get like quite a defensive globe, right? They're T7 or T8 or something.
T7.
T8. No, they're T8.
Oh, T8. Oh,
3-up save instead of 4-up as they were. But they can get cover. 4 wounds.
No, they were 2-up save.
They were 2-up save. Yeah, I'm saying they're 3-up save now.
Okay.
I think at the points, I quite like them. You can give them, because you don't have to pay anything for them, the Crushing Claws. I know you only hit on 4s, but strength 8 AP 2 damage isn't bad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't hate this as a squad, honestly.
Do you know how much they were? You know how much they are in 9th, those Crushing Claws?
60 points a model.
Oh, no, 60 points a model, that's it, yeah.
Yep. 40 points base, 10 points per claw. You got to pay for both. It's rough.
It's so
yeah, the claws which look the coolest, you can now take, which is very cool. I'm quite hot on them. I think you take them and you put the tyrants in them, depending on how efficient tyrants are, because some of the data sheets in this are kind of like, maybe you end up running double tyrant and double tyrant guard, just because you want to try and bully the midboard. It takes a lot of points. I'm not saying this is where we start off. Maybe it's where you end up after a bit of testing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Venom
No, I
Throats.
could definitely see that working. Venom Throats are decent, man, but they're
Cheaper than they
140
were.
points.
Uh,
Oh, whoa! I'm looking at the. Oh my god! I've
70
been looking at
points.
140. I need to make some changes
Yeah,
on the
no,
thing.
they're cheaper than they used to be. They used to
Hey,
be
these are
75
good.
points for 3. Yeah. They no
These are
longer
really
give
good.
-1 to hit for big monsters, but they do give cover to them. So kind of a side grade. I'd rather have -1 to hit, but they do give -1 to hit to all your medium-sized stuff, like your Tyrant Guard. I guess because they have the monster keyword, they wouldn't get the -1 to hit. We'll have to check how that interacts. Because it might say that infant. You what, sorry?
The Tyrant Guard don't have monster keyword, right?
No, but they'll be joining a monster, so they'll get the monster keyword for the unit. What's the wording on the Venom Throats? Let's just pull that one up. Jamie, pull it up.
I can't remember. I'll have a look.
Yeah, I'm also pulling it up. Okay. Excluding monsters, so I think they wouldn't get the -1 to hit because they've got the big boy in there. That makes sense thematically, but it's kind of sad. Okay,
but they also give +1 to armor saves, right?
Yes, so they give cover to everyone, and they give -1 to hit for non-monsters. I think at 70 points they're fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm very keen on them. They still have their bullshit anti-infantry 2+, which is very funny. Yeah, they're good. They're just good.
Yeah, really good. But gives all your monsters a 2-up armor save.
Let's skip the next one, and then we'll just go through Winged Hive Tyrant at 195. I think
skipping Von Ryan's Leapers.
We're coming back to it, buddy. We're doing it fast. Cool. Yeah. Like when we did World Eaters, and then we came back to spend ages on. Fair. Yeah, don't worry about that. Winged Hive Tyrant 195. I think it's too slow. I don't think it does enough personally. Nah. And then you can't body guide it.
And then it's dead.
It's the same problem as the Demon Princes we've seen. I just don't think it does it. Winged Tyrannid Prime. Nope.
It's just bad.
If we see Shrikes come in with the Codex, then I am more interested in running it. If we don't see Shrikes, then I'm just kind of like Games Workshop. But why? Why would you make me fill these things? Zoanthropes, we've kind of talked about already. Yep. I really like them. I think 18 of this is a legitimate way to start running your lists.
No, man. No.
Yeah, because it's not just the las cannons they have.
It's not just the las cannons.
Yeah, so they have what is just straight up a las cannon. Where is my zones? Right. Here's why they're good. If you're running them into anything other than anti-tank, you have per squad 66 plus blast. So if you're running that into, like, let's say you shoot Terminators and you go for this profile, which I don't think is the right choice, but let's just say you go with it. A 10-man squad, you're going to be getting, on average, 24 shots, hitting on 3, strength 7, AP2, D3 damage into a 10-man squad. If you face hordes, this will fucking flatten them. Even a 3-man squad into a 20-man unit, that gets you what? 6 squads per model. So 18 shots, hitting on 3, strength 7, AP2, D3 damage. Like, it's just beefy. Like, it kills kind of everything you want it to kill. And it's cheap. I think you have the, everyone says they're good, so I'm going to look at everything else first problem with them.
No, I still think they're good. I do think they're really good. Like, I'm definitely having at least one squad in my army. I just
you're just not sold on 18 of them.
I'm not definitely not sold on 18. I think the most I could imagine trying is 9.
So, and this is a little bit sad. I'm kind of underwhelmed by the Tyrannid Index. I'm not loving it. The things I like have got worse. It feels like the power level in here is very much lower than I want it to be to compete with the good stuff. Zoanthropes is kind of like the immediate thing that I've looked at and gone, oh, okay, this is like the go button. So I think that's why, to me, they've jumped out. But
fair.
Yeah, hopefully we see some rebalancing, and I don't feel like I need to take this if I want to run a list. So we'll see.
Cool.
And then the last unit, Von Ryan's Leapers. I was not super hot on these initially, and that was before I saw the points. I thought they were okay, but I was kind of underwhelmed for what I was expecting to be like a 105-point unit. They're not 105 points. They're 25 points a model. Fuck.
Yeah, man. The same price as a Lictor. For the same price as a Lictor, you can have 3 of them. 3 Lictors.
Yep.
Yeah,
for
man.
The same points as a Ravener, you can have them.
Yeah, they synergize really well with the Alien Cunning.
Yep.
And they just say to your opponent, if I go first,
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm coming at you fast with 10-inch
Mm-hmm.
move, and I'm going to slap you with my 6 attacks.
Yep.
I might not kill you, but I'm definitely going to make a dent.
I think legitimately, if you want to run a mid-sized bug as like a brawler, you do not run Tyranid Warriors with melee bioweapons. You run the Von Ryan's Leapers. We've been talking about this. I think there is a place where you just run 18 of these. And I think you're happy about it. And I don't think you necessarily infiltrate them all. I think if you're running warriors, you take the warriors out, the melee warriors, and you put in the Von Ryan's Leapers. They're a little bit less effective, but they just like everything else about them is so much better. They're what Raveners wish they were in this edition.
Yes. The new Raveners.
Yeah, yeah. They're 2 inches slower movement. They have fight first. They have stealth, so they're -1 to hit at all times.
Forget their fight first.
Yeah, oh mate, that's like
It's
the
so
best
good.
thing about them. Yeah, they're so good. Like because of the rules they had on there, I was expecting them to be like 35 points a model. And because of that, I was underwhelmed because they don't have output for 35 points a model, but they don't 25 points a model, which is real fucking good. Like, buy them up on eBay if you can get them, boys. Like, keep hold of them because you're gonna be
I'm chasing people down. So I'm picking up my Leviathan box at midnight on Friday night.
Yeah.
And I'm literally saying to people who are going, I'm like, do you mind opening your box and I'll buy you Ryan Leapers off Ryan Leapers
Very
off you
nice.
now.
You get all the Space Marine players. Simon says it's almost like the new models are just better. I don't even really subscribe to that.
No, it's not true. I don't think.
Because, like, if you look at the box, so much of the box is dog shit.
Yeah, man.
Like it's not malice. It's unfortunately a little bit of incompetence, I think.
Yes, I agree. I mean, if you look at my list, I think I've got a Psychophasian and the Von Ryan Leapers. That's it. And the Psychophage is droppable.
Yeah.
Very droppable.
I think you should drop him. And if you were going to take any other model in there, I think you take the Neuro Tyrant. And just...
Oh, he's in there at the moment.
Oh, he's in there. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Nids. The stuff, a lot of stuff's quite cheap, right? You can take a
Mm.
lot of bodies, which is great because that's what they want. DW want you to play. They want you to play a big swarmy mess with a couple of monsters here and there. That's their dream of Tyranids.
Sure.
And you can now because things are so cheap, so much cheaper. Like these Leapers, 75 points, Gene Stealers. I mean, they're still 18 points, but the Gaunts have all come down a bit. Yeah, it's all pretty good. And you've got the movement ability to get there, right? So we're not as fast, but Gaunts will move another 6 inches once your opponent moves near them.
Sure.
Carnifexes, if you're one of those people, will move once they get shot after they die. And then the Hormagaunts can advance and charge, and the Gargoyles can fire and fade. So you've got ways to get up the board. And I think that's the way we're playing. I think, and I'm looking forward to it, man. Actually, I think it's going to be. I think there's going to be a fair bit of skill expression, especially when you're just getting shot to death by Marines.
Yeah, that's fair. Simon says drop the Psycho for the zone tropes. I mean, I co-sign that.
Yeah, I think after this conversation, it's a very big possibility.
Yeah, because he's 4 of them. I know you can't take 4, but yeah, points wise. So let's have just a very quick wrap up because we've been going for over 3 hours now, and I'm ready to get some sleep, to be honest.
Warm,
But,
hey. I've got to walk the dog now.
Oh Jesus. Yeah, so obviously Marines and Eldar are going to be good. We're going to just kind of ignore that. So really disappointing World Eaters. That was sad. What else was I disappointed in?
Votan.
I wasn't disappointed in Votan. I actually have hopes for Votan. We'll see. Kind of disappointed in the flavor of Drakari because they're just shooting armies now. Orcs being expensive, that didn't feel good. Orcs and World Eaters, it feels like they've really priced up the hard-hitting melee that was like present at the end of 9th edition. Not a fan of that. Space
Do you
Wolves,
think
obviously.
Orcs, right? So Orcs last edition.
Yeah.
Die. There's loads of them. They pressure you and they die pretty easy, but they keep coming.
Yeah.
Do you think now Tyranids have taken that play space and GW went, well, we can't have 2 armies like that, so we'll make Orcs more expensive and durable?
I don't think it was a conscious decision, but that kind of has lined up. Yeah. Existence says, well done to make it to the end. Thank you, Existence.
Yeah,
Thank you
Existence,
for being so present throughout all these streams. It's been fantastic. Gilmore says, give me some of that high-grade copium if they think Votan have hope. I need Tau. I'm just assuming that they fixed the game. Like, historically, we've seen that they fixed the game. I don't think... I think there's very little in here that's unsalvageable.
Yeah. Agree.
So I think in 3 to 6 months the game will be quite good. I think it's going to be a little bit rough at the start. And hopefully when we see some codexes come out, we see a bit more flavor in some of the factions that are lacking it. Drakari are one of those. Tau, they have flavor, but not flavor I like. Space Wolf get in the bin. Yeah, I don't know. I think
Space Wolves get in the bin for flavor. They're still going to be amazing. You just got to buy all the non-Space Wolves units.
Well, no, because the Space Wolf units are the things that they made bad. Like they full on squatted wolf and they full
Well,
on.
that's what I'm saying. Like
Guard.
they'll
Like,
have to
those
buy
are the
actual normal Space Marine stuff.
Yeah. So you just
Which
don't
isn't
play Space
ideal.
Wolves at that point. Like you should play Ultramarines because their characters are good, or you play Dark Angels because they're good. Yeah, like I don't think Space Wolves are going to be worthwhile. Even like the thing that's good about them is the Dreadnoughts, I think, but they have OC0, which is really sad. So yeah, like I'm not going to start ranting about it again. I got very upset. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing like a weekly stream, maybe Mondays just for an hour or so. It's been a lot of fun streaming over the last couple of weeks. Do chuck in the chat if you think that's worthwhile doing, or if you think I should not bother. Not fishing for compliments, genuine.
That is definitely a fish. That
No.
I cast your rod out.
There's no point me doing this because it takes up quite a lot of time. There's no point me doing it if it's not something people are interested in watching. But I think an hour on a Monday is something that's quite manageable. So I'd be interested in doing that if there's interest.
I think it's testament to say you are, mate. I think you've done a great job over these last couple of days. I think a Monday is a bad one only because BCP isn't always updated by then. So
I'm not. It wouldn't be like a talk about the tournaments necessarily. It'd just be kind of like a fill in and do some different stuff. But we'll see. Simon says, thanks for sharing your takes on all these factions. It's very insightful for factions I don't know well. It's been great to just do some hot takes. A lot of this will be proved to be like wrong with context coming down the line, or we'll get more information and some things will be right, some things will be on the nose for. But that's part of the fun of the hot takes game. And Brett says, thanks for the great stream. Or it's a great stream, lads. Thank you for hanging around as well. All right.
Anything you want to making 3 hours?
Yeah. Anything you want to say to finish us off?
No, I just want to say well done, Ed. You've smashed it this last couple of weeks, mate. Nice one. And again, just to comment, just to echo that comment of the knowledge is unreal, mate. So well done.
Lovely. All right. Thanks, guys. I will catch you probably on Monday. See you around.